something else, but all right. Give me one
Rip the
second.
Band-Aid
Are we
off.
one on?
Might as well, man.
Okay.
Well, I'm always on, so it's all good.
Well, some of us need a running start.
Man, speaking of running, I put so
All
much
right.
miles this week. It's ridiculous.
Man,
So we are
sitting,
good.
I put so many miles on this week. Thinking of drinking, I put so many miles on this week.
Oh man, I've taken a step back on that. I can talk about that. There's some
Your liver
updates
numbers
and
up.
information
Your
on that
liver
bad
numbers
boy.
back to or back down. I don't know, up or down is good.
Yeah, it's down. It's down. Yeah, it's down to I'm just 10 points over the regular limit. You know what I mean? I'm flagged only 10 points over. So
they don't look, oh, this is automatically a Marine liver.
you automatically get 10 points, 20 points, you know, depending every realistment is another 10 points. So I was right where I needed to be.
For real. The fact that you can get into 10 points of a regular human being.
Yeah. No, but I got it down. You know what I mean? Huh?
All right. Anyways, guys, welcome to episode 1 of the OneM1c podcast. I just want to make sure everything was working and we are good to go. And I think that first 3 minutes was actually live. So also,
you can get all the racist stuff from before that, so that's good.
No, right?
Good. I think they missed all that part, but I do have mini goals for this podcast, just tiny little goals. And the goal that I think we should achieve and we will surpass is go beyond episode 6. I think we could do that this time.
So
fingers crossed.
We're locked in to 6 episodes.
Let's get there because that's where we stopped.
6 episodes. Let's go.
I don't remember signing anything. I just want to, for the record, I didn't sign anything.
You still have to talk to my agent.
Oh man, already.
I did. I
Who's
sent
it. That's what
that White Mamba or was it King? Who's your agent? You got all these people working for you.
Oh man,
it was one of them.
All I know is I sent it out, so we'll see. But anyways, man, I think we should just go around and introduce ourselves for the second time, and I think the people that are already in chat kind of knows all of us already, but at least for the new people. So we'll introduce ourselves at least. I'll start. First of all, I will say this episode is brought to you by JP Custom Ink. Hey, man.
JP Custom Ink.
These sponsors. Listen, I sent out the information. I don't know if you guys agreed with, we partner up with JP Custom Ink for this episode. The next one, maybe it's, we'll talk to Mr. Eddie and see what we can do.
I'm waiting for my free JP Custom Ink T-shirt I didn't get yet.
That's coming. As a matter of fact, Gio's got a nice one. That's Confident Apparel as well. That's nice. And he's had that for about 4 or 5 years.
And it's still in great condition.
Those guys are amazing. I think, who's the guy that runs it? I think his name is George, but, whatever. But that guy. So anyways, I'm CV Tech 1 across social media. Doesn't matter where it is. Just look up CV Tech 1. You'll find me. And I think as we introduce ourselves, we could probably say 1 or 2 things about ourselves. If you want to disclose, something that you like to do. And for me, gaming is something that I enjoy. And also just trying to be creative with my company as well. I'm trying to learn as well to get into the graphic gaming game part of things, like what Gio does. Gio is basically an artist, and I'm trying to get him to do more stuff for me, doing designs. So I'm trying to learn that myself. What else I can tell you about me that's not crazy? I don't know. I think that's pretty much it. I think I'll share more stuff as we go, right? And so let's go to Gio. Tell these people who you are. Maybe something that you like to do, or a hobby, or what you do. It's up to you if you want to share that. Tell them a little something about you.
Yeah. My My tag is CVGO Genius. I go by Geo. I play Xbox. I'm a CVGO Genius on the Xbox. Same thing on YouTube, CVGO Genius with the 3 at the end of it. I'm on social media, but I try to stay a little low key on there. If you find me, you find me. If not, then you weren't looking hard enough. But about me, 20 years in the military, so spent a lifetime essentially doing that. So I got a little bit of experience on those things. But outside of the military, I just a regular dude doing stuff. I consider myself a jack of all trades, master of none. I dabble here, I dabble there. I'm about just kind of like experiencing as much as I possibly can, being true to myself and having a good time with people. That's really what I do. I'm the wild card. You know what I'm saying? I might say something that might need a couple of bleeps here and there. So I'm gonna let y'all know ahead of time. But that's pretty much me.
Okay, Mr. Wild Card. Like to have fun with all people, huh?
Floor is yours.
All right, so I'm Advocate Hebron. I'm Advocate Hebron on everything. Was it Twitch, Twitter, email, Gmail, all that. So that's where you can find me. I'm very much like Geo in that
Maybe not.
I'll get to that. Was in the Marine Corps for a time. Did a lot of stuff. Video games, Xbox, movies, television. I think I'm into that more than anybody here. Also, politics. I'm a little bit interested more than the average person. Moral philosophy. I'm probably interested more than everyone else here. So I'm going to be probably the bad guy in most of the assignments.
The bad guy.
That's the route you choose.
I mean, I'm going to be like, but really, to all of our obvious agreements on pretty much every topic because we're all the same demographic guy. So,
fair enough.
The bad guy is going to be the likable guy. Watch.
I'll do my best to not be an asshole, but I'm gonna be like, but really, do you really think that, or
that's a lot of bet? That's going to require a lot of best from you.
But yeah, that's me. I guess I'm kicking it to Eddie.
Yeah, man, you guys see the name, Eddie. I'm also known as CV Goat 45. You can find me on Twitter. I like to play on Twitter a lot. At EVDIE4 on Twitter. And I try to bring logic and sense to conversations. I try to keep emotions down. But that's probably what I bring to the table a lot. I'm a manager, been a manager for a long time. So dealing with all different types of personalities, all different types of people from different backgrounds. So, you want to be able to hear people out, listen to different perspectives, and then be able to come to, some kind of consensus idea that people can sort of rally around and get behind. We're not always going to agree. These guys will tell you that. And that's pretty much what I'm looking to bring to the table. So.
Okay. Sounds good, man.
Let's do it, man. I'm in. Let's go.
I said let's start off with basically the elephant in the room is what happened today, right? Or the decision of the jurors today on the trial. I haven't really been following it like that. Like I said, I just wanted to take a mental break from it, and I just caught the end of it. When I saw a picture of the judge and the kid, I don't know, I guess they were together watching TV, and that's when I was like, what is happening? So I don't know if any one of you guys want to take in. How do you feel about what happened today with the trial? Anybody?
So I got to start with,
Or do you agree with what happened?
So Rittenhouse, who went across state lines with the purpose of involving himself in the civil dispute or rioting, protest, depending on your perspective of the situation. Engaged in acts that apparently do not consist of murder or I can't call him these things because he's innocent by our rules, but like he did the thing, people lost their lives, but he wasn't responsible. It's concerning that the verdict protected these actions, because that to me means there's going to be more of these actions. There's no way that someone thinking like Rittenhouse isn't going to also take those actions and then claim a similar defense and then use the defense of Rittenhouse as more evidence of their innocence, and the ball gets rolling along those lines. I'm concerned about that because more than anything, loss of life is probably a bad thing across the board. I think we can all agree on that we don't want people losing their lives. But again, it wasn't I think I think a lot of people that are jaded and have been paying attention to the news expected this outcome. So it wasn't like a shock, but you're still a little disappointed. You want?
Can I jump in real quick and ask a question?
Sure.
Before we get too far into it, so I'm going to get a perspective of everyone's opinion and give it weight, whatever. How much of the trial did everybody watch?
I turned it off early when there was a distinction made between who could be called a victim and who could be called a rioter. So I was like, oh, so this is how this is going to go. That's when
I started way towards the end. Like I said, when I started seeing it on when these guys were like kind of watching TV and it was just all over the place, that's when I kind of started. So I don't know. So I guess the defense's thing was he was defending himself, right? Is that's the argument that he
their
put forth.
defense was self-defense. He was not the aggressor in the situation.
But like Hebron said though, how do you feel about that though? Because like he I mean, it is his right to drive. What is it, 15 miles, and put himself in that position with a gun, right?
It's the same problem with the Trayvon Martin problem. Like, can I start a fight having a gun? Can I instigate a fight that puts me into the point where I need to defend myself?
Yeah,
because that's
Ahmaud Arbery, same situation, right? Not to change it, but it's the same, similar vigilante. I see something wrong, let me go fix it, and all that. But Eddie, how much did you watch?
All of it.
Okay,
he's all in.
Y'all, you guys know the deal. For everybody that's like watching or gonna watch this later. These guys already know I have some really primal feelings about just how we sort of interpret what's going on as a country, as a society. Okay. So and what I mean by that is all of us can watch a video. We all watch the same video. We could literally be sitting all side by side and watch the same video. And all four of us could potentially have a different view of what we saw. And then people's biases come into play, preconceived notions come into play. One of the things that fundamental issues right out of the gate before the trial even begins that I think is wrong or sort of screwed up is the justice system itself, right? So people are convicted before the trial even starts in some cases, right? Other cases, in terms of the public, other cases, people say before the thing even begins, before they even hear evidence, the person, they're getting off. They should have done it. They had every right. So we're going into the trial with preconceived notions, okay? But what we're supposed to rely on is, as citizens, is we're supposed to expect that the justice system is going to hold everyone to the same rules, right? And what we all know through our own experiences, through seeing other people, through history, is that doesn't happen. That does not happen. It's evident. No one's gonna debate or dispute that it's not equal, right? So when you look at a case like this, and you're gonna have differing opinions right out of the gate, it's very hard for us to watch a video and everyone come to the same conclusion. So just remember, as we talk about this particular case, and we're comparing it to the other case, the four of us may see it as, okay, yeah, this is what he did, but just understand the other side doesn't see it that way. And that jury, ultimately the people that are deciding this kid's fate, probably fall into the same boat as we do. Are they supposed to? No. Are they supposed to talk about the case with anyone? No. Should they have been sequestered? That's an opinion, right? Should they have been kept in a hotel room, not allowed to go home, not allowed to speak to the public, right? We're going to debate that all day long, but that didn't happen in the case. So all we should really be doing is looking at what happened in the courtroom. We can obviously debate that, but if something isn't brought into a case and it isn't delivered as evidence, the jury's not going to use that as a determining factor of whether this kid violated whatever laws that the prosecutor is suggesting they did, right? So there are videos of Kyle Rittenhouse saying things, doing things that the judge didn't allow in the case. I don't think the prosecutor wanted one of those videos. He didn't even bother to try to submit it in his evidence, right? So the public has seen those things. The four of us, I know I watched both those videos, right? And that sort of lends itself to me kind of in my own brain deciding who I think Kyle Rittenhouse is. And then that also then lends itself to making me say, yeah, absolutely, totally convict him. He's guilty. He shouldn't have done that. He murdered people. Go to jail.
Do you think that video they kept out though could contribute or become a big part of the trial? Because I don't know what the video showed or what he said in that video.
So two specific videos that I saw. One of them, he basically was in a group of kids. I call them kids, but they're probably, teenagers or whatever. And they were all arguing and screaming. And there's a young girl there. And girl's the wrong word, right? She's a teenager. And he started hitting her. A couple other people started hitting. So basically he's like jumping this girl. That was Kyle Rittenhouse. All right. There's another video that's a little bit more incriminating in terms of just what his mental state probably was when he went to Kenosha. He's in a car with a group of friends, I'm assuming. They're filming, I don't know if it was like a riot or a protest or whatever it was, but there's basically a bunch of people around, and he says, you can hear Kyle Rittenhouse say in the video, I wish I had my AR-15 on me right now, right? And he's basically saying, I would go shoot him, right? Wow. So those two things were kept out of the courtroom for whatever reason, right? I don't know if it was the judge that just said no to both of them, or if it was the prosecutor that just didn't know about it or didn't try to submit it in for evidence. But would that potentially sway a juror? Probably, right? Probably. But again, that doesn't factor into the case because those jurors didn't have an opportunity to listen to that or watch that, or at least they weren't supposed to, right? So I look at these cases from the point of view of a juror. I don't look at it from my point of view as Eddie watching, all this stuff on social media and on the news. So if I'm a juror and I don't necessarily have access to those videos, that's not gonna tie into my decision. I'm supposed to simply apply the law. So even me on a personal basis, if I ever were to go to get arrested and charges brought against me, I'm hoping that the law is blind to my color, right? To where I come from. They don't give a crap about my income, right? That's what I hope for. And that's supposedly what this country's supposed to live up to. Mm-hmm. Based on everything I've seen and throughout my, 39 years of life, I don't think that happens, right? I'm finding out that it isn't blind. I wish it was, but it's not. So there's a couple of things about the case specifically that stood out to me that I wanted to bring up. So one of the first ones was they've tried to frame it as a self-defense case, right? Obviously, they succeeded because he's not guilty, okay? So when we say things like, can you be an aggressor or you go across state lines to start trouble, just remember, he was found not guilty. So us even uttering those words no longer valid, right? The jury has decided that no.
He did cross state lines and trouble did happen. I don't know
if he was the catalyst to that.
I want
Yeah,
to
exactly.
see the civil case because there's got to be one. And as we know, there's
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. As we know, I apologize. As some of us know, there's a lower burden of proof. So
In
a
a
lot
civil
of the
case.
things that weren't in the trial are going to get into the civil case. And depending on
Yeah.
how much America loves Cal Rittenhouse, he's going to get supported and then possibly a chunk of that support taken away by
Mhm.
a civil trial. Maybe. I mean, I feel like historically that's how a type of justice has been found in
Right.
previous cases. So we'll see.
But
But he's
remember,
not going to fail.
we're talking about criminality, right? We're talking about criminality,
Right.
right? The state has brought charges up against this kid. And all I'm saying is as we talk about it, right, and we put it in a certain context, the jury has decided that he wasn't the aggressor, right?
Mhm.
That's the whole point of self-defense, right? If he's the aggressor, that's one of the things that killed me about the George Zimmerman trial, is George Zimmerman's the aggressor. Trayvon Martin, some high school kid trying to get
Shouldn't have
home,
been. And
shouldn't, right?
therefore, yeah, I
Got it.
agree.
So
Can
they've
I put myself
decided,
in a situation where,
yeah,
like, I'm prepared? I'm clearly prepared to become the
yeah,
aggressor. Can I
100%,
get
right?
a situation where I
Right.
get to become I get to be in defense, become the aggressor?
Yeah.
And that's right now is a rule. Stand your ground is a thing.
Yep. And I'm gonna get to the stand your ground because that's I don't know, I'm sitting there writing, right, and taking notes. Like, we're gonna get to stand your ground because I think a lot of what's going on in the country on a bunch of different levels is the fact that we have state laws. They're all obviously different, and I don't think the public necessarily realizes exactly what that means. Right? I saw a lot of people saying things like, "Oh, a federal charge is going to be brought against Kyle Rittenhouse," right? And if people are asking that question, the first thing I say is, for what?
Yeah.
Federal charges for what? Right? It just means that there's a fundamental misunderstanding of either A, what happened, or B, they don't understand how the law works.
Well, technically, he could get federal charges because he went home afterwards.
Sure. You're talking about the weapons charge, right? Transferring a weapon over state lines.
Right. That makes it so. Once you have once you are accused of violating a code that's federal, then you can be brought up on.
So the question is did he take the AR-15 home with him?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Right.
The next thing I have in my my notes here, and I'll go through these real quick, is the defense attorney actually brought up the officer who shot Jacob Blake in the first place. Right. So the whole reason there's a protest is because of Jacob Blake, whatever he forgets about. Right. So he's shot 7 times by a police officer. Right. And the defense attorney for Kyle Rittenhouse brings up, well, there's already precedent in our state. Right. We have someone who shot 7 times and no charges were brought. Right. So to me, this is all about precedent. It's the first thing I have down written here in my notes. This is setting the example. It's creating a situation where people now get to refer back to this precedent and say, see that right there? That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Now they'll still have
and it's case law when it comes
100%.
I don't mean to interject, but it becomes case law. The next time it happens, you get a situation like this, they're going to look back at that. And they could go back to, the Zimmerman case that you mentioned, the same thing, right? Once the stuff continues to get built, they're like, well, it happened then, and it's very similar situations. If you let that guy go, therefore you should now, err on the same kind of side, because if they can paint that picture to be similar, they can do that.
So if you're a protester that wants to go out, and protest, are you armed now? Just again, we're talking about setting precedent, right? So now we know Rittenhouse was, he was found not guilty, right? So do people, arm themselves and go out into a protest? Because now all you've created is a war zone.
Isn't having an AR illegal in that state or no?
No.
Oh,
An open carry with an AR is not illegal. All that stuff is legal, right?
I thought AR was like in a special thing. You can't.
No, it's just for Armalite.
Yeah.
AR
Eddie, I know you got a couple of notes. Just want to jump in real quick just to kind of state a few points, and then I'll hand it back to you or whoever. Like, I wasn't in front of the TV, hand in my lap with popcorn like you, Eddie, like hovering on every word, right? But I had it on at work, right? And I had it on the TV. So like when points came up that struck my interest, because like I've got a paralegal background. I've spent hours in court. Like I know the lingo, I know the setup and all that stuff, just to kind of give you an idea. So when I hear certain things or some things are coming up, I know to snap attention and pay attention, right? But there are a couple of things that I want to make sure that we have a better understanding of as we talk about it, because people are listening. The four of us having a conversation about it, and we talked about it, like the whole he crossed state lines, right? Things that came up in court was his mother and his father are separated. His father lives, over the lines, but it's less than 20 minutes away, right? So it's not like it's super far. It's like going from one city to the next. So when people say he crossed state lines, like most of the people that are watching the clickbait news or the news on the TV or wherever they're getting this information from, that's like focused, so you can have a feeling about, oh, he crossed state lines. He didn't come from like miles away. He wasn't too far. Where his dad lives wasn't too far. Did he cross state lines? Yes. But it wasn't like he went way out of his way to go to it, because that's what I thought originally. That's one. The other one was the information that the defense brought up was he was there with the AR because he was hired, asked to go and protect a business by the owner of that business. So say, I'm the guy of the business and I said, hey, Teck, I need you to bring some people with guns just to protect my stuff because the rioters are acting up. And they went there. Their intent was to just stand guard and protect. And that's one issue that a lot of people have anyway, because it's the vigilantism, right? We're going to protect what's ours from these thugs, heathens, rioters, whatever you want to call it. So his intent, what the defense was saying was they went there from the request of the owner that had a right to have an establishment, have a physical presence with armed presence to protect that facility. That's why they were there. So like to kind of quell some of the, he just went over state lines to go get some smoke, so to speak. That really wasn't what it was. At least that's the way the defense painted it. He went there at the request of the owner of the company or this mom and pop shop to protect it. And obviously things got crazy, right? And that's the other piece. And then the video, one of the videos that caused a bit of a stir was the video of, one of the Rosen, I don't want to say the wrong name, but the one of the victims, right, that got shot. The video showed him chasing Rittenhouse. So it shows Rittenhouse as he's running away with the weapon. The other guy's chasing him. And when he kind of got cornered or closed off, he turned around and shot the other guy. And the other guy had, I want to say, a weapon as well, a pistol. I'm not 100% sure if he was the one. But either way, the video showed Rittenhouse running from the other guy, getting cornered and shooting him. Now, here's where the prosecution may have messed up on that video, because this was a big deal. They made a big deal about it. The prosecution has the burden of proof, and they're required to provide all the information, right? Anything they get from the investigation, they have to provide to the defense, and the defense has an opportunity to look at it and fight against it or defend it or say, hey, this is why that video looks like this, or this is why that evidence looks like this. But the defense doesn't have to provide anything to the prosecution, i.e., if I'm a murderer and I killed somebody, and I didn't, of course, right? And I tell my lawyer, yeah, I killed them. The lawyer is like, okay, we got to find a way to not say that in court and find a way to spin around it. So like, just to let you know, that's the burden of proof. The prosecution has to give up all information. And in this case, they provided a shorter version of that video of Rittenhouse being chased. So not only was it shorter, but it was also like it was compressed. It's like when you send a video from iPhone to an Android, it gets all messy and they blame the Samsung people, right? But it's not. That's the video. This 15-second video is what the prosecution provided to the defense. And then when they found out, and they had the 45-minute video with like HD 4K resolution.
And that's what we're seeing, not being a part of the jury.
It wasn't provided to the jury. And in that case, the video showed clearly Rittenhouse running away. It doesn't show what happened before. It doesn't all. It just shows up until right before the shooting and just until the shooting. And it paints Rittenhouse as the victim in the case, running away, not the aggressor. And if it showed him chasing the guy and shooting him, he's done, right? But it showed the opposite, him running away and then him turning around and shooting the guy. That's where the issue is. And these are the important information that just three of the many things that happened, to include the prosecution made a lot of mistakes. And then the defense jumped on it as soon as possible. So when you do that to discredit the other side, the jury's going to be like, yeah, I can't side with you because I can't trust some of the things you're saying because some of the stuff is either wrong or not fully provided and XYZ. Figured I'd say that. Go ahead.
Do you think that the prosecution actually wanted to win this case?
Go all the way back to George Zimmerman's trial, and that's the same question I have there. Sometimes, based on the evidence that you have and based on the arguments that you can potentially make in court, you have to know what's too much of a stretch, too much of a, given that the judge has now thrown out the gun charge, that was probably the easiest charge to convict him on, and the judge threw it out, right? Yep. So it's the same thing with Zimmerman. They went for, I believe, you guys quote, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was second-degree murder.
I think it was first, and I think it was over.
It was originally. Yeah. Like, dude, you know how many other charges they could have charged him with, and the guy would have been in jail for 20 years, 30 years, right? And they didn't.
Yeah.
So I would sit there, and I'll never forget this. My wife and I talk about it all the time, right? She's sitting there, she's watched, she feels bad for Trayvon. This guy's, whatever. She's thinking guilty. And I'm listening to the prosecutor, right? And I'm going through it all, and I'm like, all right, so again, if I'm a juror and I'm hearing this stuff, not putting aside what I personally had heard through the media and stuff like that, I don't know if I would have said, yeah, George Zimmerman is guilty of first degree or second degree murder. You know what I'm saying? So because I had that thought, now when you ask this question, Hebs, exactly, I'm thinking to myself, all right, either A, they were just simply too aggressive in terms of the charges they were trying to convict them of, both of these guys, Zimmerman and Rittenhouse. B, the lawyers just, the prosecutor's just incompetent, right? He's just not that great at his job. Or C, and this may sound kind of conspiracy theory-ish, but here's a country that has a history of this. So is it really a conspiracy theory? Maybe they really didn't try to win the case, right? Maybe it's just, good old boys doing their thing. As much as I hate having to think that could potentially be a possibility, when you look at both of these cases, and I'm sure there are others that we're not even bringing up, man, how do you not think that? How does that not pop into your head? That's the problem, right? So regardless of whether the verdict was the correct one based on the evidence and all of those other things, because we can have that question in our brains, how do you ever trust the legal system? How can you ever get to a point where you're like, all right, justice has been served or not served? It's doubt, right?
That's crazy.
Doubt. Yeah, like I was listening to what George was just saying, right? So I pulled it up because I wanted to make sure I had it right. So he wasn't asked to go there and defend that car dealership. The owners of that, it's a family-owned car dealership. They own 3 car dealerships in that area, right? 2 brothers who work at the dealership, right? Their family own the dealership. They said, yeah, we didn't ask anyone to defend it. They didn't just not ask Kyle Rittenhouse. They didn't ask anyone. They had conversations with people who about the fact that their businesses were being trashed, right, during that whole thing. But they never specifically was like, hey, we're like, hey, we want you guys to come help us defend this. Matter of fact, they weren't even there themselves. They didn't go and defend their own property. So again, it's another one of those like misconceptions, but that's what you hear, right? Social media. Oh, they asked me to. No, that's not what happened. These guys testified. I pulled it up on my phone to make sure I had it right. Both brothers testified, or one brother testified that they did not ask anyone to defend the property. Specifically asked about Kyle Rittenhouse. No, we'd never asked him to defend the businesses. The defense attorney asked them, like, why wouldn't you defend your property? Right. And they basically said, because there was nothing we really could do. It was already so far gone. There was nothing else we could do. They had moved all the cars away from the dealership. Right. So again, it's just like a false narrative. It's a false idea.
So
Kyle Rittenhouse went there, and we all know why he went there. Right.
But
the question isn't why he went.
But if the brothers testified and they said we didn't ask him, isn't that what they were saying that put him there is because he was asked to go there?
Yeah. Exactly. But again, that's not what's on trial. What's on trial is not why he's there. What they're putting on trial, the case, this is a self-defense case.
Yeah. Did he murder the guy, or was it self-defense? That's the answer. That's the question
Correct.
that they're trying to figure out.
So that's already a very difficult burden to have to meet on the prosecutor. It's already a hard enough job.
And quite frankly, once both sides have guns, it's already kind of, it doesn't even, like, I'm not surprised by the outcome of this. It's just that I'm concerned about what this is going to do going forward. Like the outcome was predictable because of the nature of the case. Because 100%. if we're only talking about what he felt in that moment, then you're right. It is a self-defense case. But if you're like, what brought him to that place, then it's different. But if you can shrink it down to that moment where a life was taken, you're going to win that all the time.
Yeah, and here's the thing too. It's like
both sides have one.
Eddie had brought something up. It's like every case. And this is what makes court stuff very interesting for people who are interested in this kind of thing. It's like it's a drama that plays out, right? And the information that comes out, on each side, from the prosecution side, it's like, okay, here's what we got. We got to make cake with these ingredients. We got to get a verdict with these ingredients. You might have missing ingredients where you got to go try to find, the weapon, find the body, find, you know what I'm saying? Find the evidence that will nail the coffin shut, so to speak. But a lot of times that stuff's not there, right? And on the defense side, they're just trying to deflect and shield. They could sit there and say nothing at all the entire time and let the prosecution say whatever, and they can just be like, prove it. That's just basically the dance that goes on. And then whether someone is guilty or not is contingent upon the information that's available for the prosecution and also how good the prosecution is. Because you can make water out of wine sometimes by the way that you deliver, the way you pull on the heartstrings of the jury and all that other stuff. Like there's a dance to that. So when we look at this stuff from the perspective from what, the information that we all got, like whether, he was there, why he was there. And then you got the biases that we talked about. When we go into this information or in this situation, we look at stuff, we bring all this baggage and all this, everyone's already on one side and everybody's on the other side. And they try to, and you already have a preconceived notion of it, right? But the outcome is based on the information that's provided. So it's going to be different. Like I said, if he told the lawyer, his lawyer, like why he was there. His lawyer knows the exact information, but they don't have to say anything. So he sat there and they made the prosecution look bad. The prosecution made themselves look bad. The victim has passed. So imagine if the victim lived. Now we got more information. Why did you chase him? Well, he threatened us or he punched us or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But like when the victim is dead, the defendant is there. And let me add to this piece. They put him on the stand. And I want to question how you guys feel. Let me ask the question. Because here, I'm going to preface with this. Normally, the defendant does not go on the stand. Because it's bad. You put an 18-year-old on the stand with a lawyer, that's like throwing a sheep in a ring with a lion. He ain't going to make it. But
shouldn't
make it unless they boo-hoo the ugliest cry face I've seen since Michael Jordan. Like, so what do you guys think? Do you think? I mean, obviously we know that it turned out well, but like, what were your thoughts going with that? And then, real quick before we get to that, there's a piece. Don't let me forget. Tap sent a message in there that he stated, time by time, young men of color get tried as. There you go.
That's awesome.
And that's one thing that kind of pissed me off, and he pointed out on that too, because I'm a law guy, right? I'm a court guy, and the results I knew was going to come out the way it was because I just saw how it unfolded because of the information, right? Mm-hmm. But I want to talk about this right after we talk about him testifying. So, Hebron, it sounded like you can't tell him.
I was just surprised, to let him off the hook. Like, there's questions you could have asked that it seems from the outside perspective you could have asked that would have led to a different outcome of that exchange. But I everybody who saw it was like, he got left off. Again, I'm second-handing it because it seemed like it was a foregone conclusion after earlier things had happened. So I was already like, okay, this is how this is going to go. I'm already accepting it now, so I don't have to get the jarring, whatever the internet is happening right now on Twitter and everything, because it's blowing up hard. So I was already okay with it, but I realized, because I'm watching social media where people have these explosions of how bad the prosecution is, and I was like, oh damn! So it's already like bad, and they are doing bad. Oh man, this is going to be ugly. They might somehow convict the victim somehow. Like they might, somebody else is going to get caught. Like it was bad.
And Eddie, do you have something?
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh man, listen, man.
About him testifying and all that. I know you got a lot still.
Yeah. All right. So about him specifically testifying, it's masterful. It's masterful. Here's why. Prosecution is struggling. Judge has made some questionable rulings. Okay. The defense at this point has requested a mistrial. They've already requested it. The judge didn't decide on it, right? He didn't make a ruling. He was saving it. I'll address that, at some point, and basically essentially says, I'll have to, look at the laurels of the argument and think about it and make a ruling later. So that's already been done, right? Because it's a self-defense case. Because it's a self-defense case, putting Kyle on the stand could potentially help him, right? He simply has to get up there and make the argument that he was scared for his life. The burden is not on him. It's on the prosecutor to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he didn't fear for his life. Then we have a game. He didn't do that.
And putting him on the stand and having him boo-hoo as hard as he did, and they're like, oh, he was 17 when it happened. Dude, with the videos of him.
Yeah. It's. I told you. Look, I'm not gonna say, right, but like what I do for a living, right? I say it all the time. I train a lot of people. I tell them all the time. You know what the difference is between winners and losers? And when I say winners and losers, I mean in our profession, the profession I'm in. The difference between winners and losers in the profession that I'm in is execution. You can tell me all you want that you want to be this and you want to do that and you're going to do this and do that. It's just like playing sports. It's like being on the football field, right? You can want to be a star, and then you have to actually go out there and do it, right? You have to actually execute, okay? Winners execute. Doesn't matter. And the ones that are like special execute over and over and over, despite the odds, despite the issues that they're dealing with, right? They consistently win, okay? In this particular situation, he was executing. The prosecutor is not executing, okay? He can have all of the moral backing, right, of all of us, and we all think absolutely this shouldn't happen, not in our country. Yada, all those things can be true, but if he doesn't go out there and actually perform, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
I got a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I got a question for you, Eddie.
For me, okay.
Yeah, because you seem, obviously you got more information in regards to the case.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't hear this in the case at all. But you know how they talked about the victims. One was a pedophile, and they were, they vilified all three of them, right? They're all they're already known as rioters, right? And why they were rioting. You know why they were there and why they were doing. They were already seen as nefarious, regardless of what color they were. So that's one. The other one's a pedophile, the other one's a thief, and the other one's a felon, had a weapon, so he was violating the law himself, right? So, like, that's another one of the things that the defense is going to use. Shift the blame on the other side, on the victims, right? Like, what did that happen? Did they talk about that? That was my question to you. Did that happen? Were they specifically, was that discussed in the trial?
So as far as any victims, or we can't use that word, right? So out of all the people that he shot,
they're dead. So they're victims.
Yeah.
Of everyone that he shot, no, their backgrounds in terms of whatever history wasn't brought up. What was brought up is what you've already said, right? They're vilified. They're made to be the aggressor, the guy with the skateboard. They had a guy they called what do they call him? They call him the jump man or the yellow pants man or something. Because the kid came in and was jumped into this. They don't even have his name. They don't even refer to him by his name, right? So yes, but George, just I want everyone to understand, that's what the defense's job is. The defense executed. Yeah, that's what they're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. That's okay. So the question is did the prosecutor, did the state? And one more thing I want to say, because it was very important what you said, right? You said the victim, the three people Kyle Rittenhouse shot were dead, or two of them were dead. Yep. Who speaks for them? The state.
Yep. And they did not execute.
Correct. You're there to seek justice for them, not for, Black Lives Matter, not for Jacob Blake, not for, us, right? You're there to seek justice for those people that aren't there to fight for themselves, right? Who makes the argument that they were just defending themselves? And the prosecution did a poor job of convincing the jury beyond a reasonable doubt that that's what happened, right? You put a guy up on the stand, had his blown off, right? His arm blown off, sorry. Shot him at the bicep. They literally showed the video of him sitting there and, dude, disconnected, and he's just holding it. Okay, that guy goes up there and says, "Yeah, I had a gun," and the defense attorney said, "Did you point your gun at him?" And he's like, "Yeah." Over.
Yeah.
Wow.
Gavel this one. Now.
Yeah. And that's what it is, man. Unless someone has some very,
I want to say one more thing about something you said. Your analogy about the cake.
Yep.
You said, you're making a cake. And you have these ingredients, okay? And you can't go get more ingredients, right? You're making a cake.
Make up ingredients. Yep.
Okay.
But hold on, before I want to jump in. Go ahead. You can do a better job of getting all the ingredients and then show the ingredients that you have.
Hebs, hold on a second. Hold that thought.
You can make do with what you got.
Hold that thought, Hebs, right?
You're more ingredients. You're allowed to get all the ingredients.
Right. Number one, rushed. Rushed investigation. 100% rushed. Whether that's because of political pressure, right? Climate, in terms of what was going on in that area, the prosecutor or the DA felt rushed to bring charges against this kid. Okay, absolutely. That's the first mistake. In terms of building the cake and the ingredients you were talking about, and everybody who's going to watch this should definitely pay attention to this, because this affects all of us. If you are responsible for baking that cake, right, and you have a certain set of ingredients in front of you, and you try to build one of those 5-tower wedding cakes, you're probably not going to get 5 towers. So as the baker, do you just say, screw it, I'm going to build this 5-layer cake and then fail? Or in order to be able to deliver for your customer, do you say, you know what, based on the ingredients I have, I'm going to make a 2-layer cake or a 3-layer cake? So again, I'm going back to that because I don't know if these prosecutors just sort of have It's not incompetence. I hate to think that somebody that smart gets to that level in terms of being an attorney, and then they just like don't know how to do it, right?
On a case this big is my problem.
On a case this big,
That's
right?
why I don't think that is. Yeah, go ahead.
And these guys aren't solo. This isn't like you go talking. You're going to go hire a defense attorney. This is the state. This is the government. So it just can't be that they just forgot how to do their job. That can't be it. One of the things I think could potentially happen is this is a big case. They want to win it, right? What better thing to put on your resume?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Then I got him, and I got him for X. But the point is, but we want justice because you're shooting for the moon. If you miss out on reaching the moon, we're not still amongst the stars. It doesn't work like that when it comes to, we said
crash
all the
back
time,
down to Earth.
Like you're not just
dead,
okay, I didn't quite reach the moon, but I'm good because I got to space. That's not how it happens. That's not how it works. You're coming crashing down to Earth. So in order to be able to deliver justice to the people that are no longer with us, the people that he shot, you can't build that 5-layer cake. All right, I understand. Can I get a 3-layer? Can I get a 2-layer? Right. Hell, I'll take a cupcake.
That's the district attorney. The district attorney is 100%. The guy that provides the ingredients. 100%. And he's like, all right, we don't have butter. We can't make that kind of, not to keep pushing the analogy, but I see what you're saying.
Go to the George Zimmerman trial, bro. We didn't even get a cupcake. And please understand, George Zimmerman has lived up to every single thing we all thought he was in the first place.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
He's
and we know.
Right.
So think about it. Like, as much as we want to believe in the system, obviously the system has failed pre-trial, and I don't know if I'm going to go as far as say that the system failed in the Zimmerman and this current trial, but obviously something isn't getting done right because we know from the information that and I followed that trial as well, is that like, if you get all the information and you're a juror, you're like, that guy did it, right? He friggin' what's the word? He stalked the kid.
Well,
you know what I mean?
The problem is we isolate the moment.
Right.
Right. Exactly.
How we got there doesn't matter.
Right. That's a good point.
Doesn't matter because we get to focus on
just that piece
that developed, not how we got there. So in that,
absolutely,
all I have to do is be like, yes, I was scared for my life at some point.
Absolutely. And this is where the issue is, and it's the judges that make this decision on what gets allowed in. And like, hey, juror, you didn't hear that. That doesn't get added in it. That's not part of it. Do not consider that, whatever the case is, right? So when they do that, and like we talked about, I had a conversation with folks at work about this too. It's like, I get it. He's 17. He put himself in a situation that resulted him in being in trouble. And then he had a weapon, which exacerbated the situation, right? And then he shot and killed somebody. So you got to look at all the events that led all the way to that. He made a lot of mistakes. He made a lot of bad choices that put him in the situation that ended a life, that put him in defense mode. That took lives. Thank you. And then put him in a situation. And then they turn around and be like, well, he's a young kid. He made mistakes. There are plenty of young kids in jail right now that made less mistakes and whatnot, right? But the evidence and the situation and what was allowed and what was not allowed ended it. Now we skirted around some of that stuff with the conspiracy theories, but like after a while, and you see a lot of these cases, you're thinking like, is it rigged? Is it set up? Was it a show that the prosecution and the government and the judge and all the people who are just like, hey, let's just put on a show, let's make it look like this, but we know what's going to happen in the end. Like that's the tone that everybody had an idea on. It was like, he's going to get out. And as the case went, I was like, oh, he's definitely for sure going to get off at this point. You know what I'm saying? It's just
so quick question, because Eddie said the difference between win and lose is basically execution, right? So do you guys think they didn't execute or they didn't want to?
That's the thing. Go ahead.
I'm not going. Let Hebs go.
I would just say that these internet crimes that that are based on videos that go viral that then the prosecution has to chase down, I would say they're not as excited about dealing with these cases because they're coming at them the wrong way. This is not a police investigated driven prosecution of an individual. This is a visibility, social media popularity problem that's being dealt with through law. And
Crazy.
Because you're not getting the chance to go about it in the normal way because it's so popular, I would bet that it was one of those losing cases that you get handed that you're going to take an L on, and you're just like, I'm going to do something to try and, I'm going to do something, but
hold up appearances, make it look like you're
handicapping me at every point.
Correct.
This is my bag, so I got to take the bag.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Not to lose all credibility because of it, and I don't know how successful.
But the question behind that, and I mean, we're not going to get an answer, is are they failing because they're set up to fail, or it's just, hey, we need to push forward. You got what you got. This is the evidence. This is all the evidence we got. There's nothing really else that we have available.
The need to push forward is the illusion.
Correct.
It's murder. There's no statute of limitations anyway, first of all. But like the fact that there's pressure from all the people that saw the video means that I have to do this now. And
yes, absolutely.
Like you can literally wait, get all the information. See, let that man fuck up again in some kind of way. I don't know why they're not bringing in all the other shit that he did. It doesn't all the little illegal things that happened afterwards that were illegal.
And this is part of that issue where knowledge comes into play. What people don't realize is when something goes down, like this incident happened last August, right? And here we are in November, a year and 3 months later, that the trial goes and concludes, right? And normally it takes a year and a half, 2 years for this type of large case for them to completely do all the due diligence and investigatory work and all this other stuff to give the best, bring the best case forward. But in a world like today where everybody needs information and it's already high vis and it's an emotional for everybody, they're like, hey, we got to quell this stuff, blah, blah, blah. And I'm sure that has something to do with it, because these cases normally take about 2 years before it actually, by the time normally when these cases hit, they go to court, you're like, oh crap, that did happen. I totally forgot about that. Right. But they did push it. That was a year and 3 months. That's relatively fast on average, because you're looking at a year and a half to 2.5 years before it goes back to trial.
For
a capital murder case.
Yeah.
That's blazing fast.
We've seen cases that are less. There's much less too that have taken longer. There's no debating that. They rushed to get this kid. They rushed it. Look, man. So it's frustrating. Can you tell us I'm frustrated about it? But I'm not frustrated about it because some kid got off. I already knew that was going to happen. I was like, yeah, okay. I told Crystal the same thing I told her about George Zimmerman. I said, hey, based on what I've seen, that's not guilty. So I don't think the jury got it wrong. I'm saying the jury got it right.
According to the information that they had in front of them.
The prosecution. I think we all agree.
Yeah.
It was a failure of prosecution. Now, the question really is, was it avoidable or not? And
so again, remember, the judge still is holding. So just like you said, is it avoidable? The judge is still holding the mistrial ruling in his pocket.
And you think it was just waiting for it to be, guilty? Oh, no, it was mistrial, just in case.
Mistrial. What was it? Mistrial with prejudice. Right? So they can't retry him.
Right. I mean, do you think it's going to go to appeal, or they just done with it?
Sorry, say that again.
Do you think the state's going to appeal the case?
There's no appeal. There is no appeal. Once you're found not guilty, acquitted. He's good. There is no, let's try to get him in a different way. Not in this case. Over.
Yep.
So again,
I'm saying so the mistrial would have caused an appeal.
It depends.
Yeah.
It depends on how he declares a mistrial. Is it with prejudice or without prejudice? Right.
Right.
And if he ruled one way, he would basically declare the case a mistrial, and that's it. It's over. Cannot do anything. Kyle's done. He's free. He'll be at the local Starbucks tomorrow morning. But he could rule the mistrial another way, which then would allow the prosecution to retry him.
He'd have been an intern for one of the
correct
the congressmen.
So think about this, right? Let's say the jury delivers a guilty on all charges. If they read guilty, Rosenbaum guilty, right, and they just went through, the judge could have said, "All right, I hear y'all, mistrial." And I'm waiting for that.
Put that in his back pocket.
I'm waiting for the smoke. I'm like, please say guilty, just so I can see what the judge will do.
Yeah.
Right. Now that didn't happen. Right. He's not guilty. Okay. See you later. Right. Now I could care less about Kyle Rittenhouse. Care less about it. And this sort of help us move on. Right. Now it's about precedent.
Right.
At this point, right this minute, it's all about what does this mean now for specifically the people of Wisconsin, because I ain't going to Wisconsin, right? Specifically for the people in Wisconsin, what does this mean for them? That's what this is all about now. Kyle Rittenhouse is a done deal. Right. He is a proud boy. He is
case law, right?
He is a proud boy. Yep, he's good to go. He's solid. He won. The system.
And he'll never have to buy his own drink. But by the time he's 21, people are buying drinks for him, right? That's just the world we live in.
Don't come to Dorchester.
But again, to wrap it, I mean, he's got plenty of drinks in Wisconsin. He's fine, right? And all those other states that were on his side from get-go without really knowing all the information in the case. But to kind of wrap it up, unless someone has anything really like big to talk on it, but like
I want to say one more
call
thing.
The guy a hero.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Let me say one more thing, George, because you brought it up, right? You brought it up, right? When you were talking about criminalizing the victims, right? Victim blaming, making it that they weren't victims, right? So their history, right? Did that come up? No, not really, right? Like what they did, like they did to Trayvon, right? Oh, Trayvon would smoke weed as if that has anything to do with anything, but sure, they brought it up, right?
Right.
One of the things I said was, somebody actually asked that question on social media, who I know, and he brought that up. Oh, I absolutely think those things matter, right? In terms of the people that are now dead and the guy that got shot in his arm. Their backgrounds matter. What they've done in their past matter, I think. And they gave their reasons why. So my question back to him was, okay, let's say that's what's up. That's what you believe. And let's say we go with that. Does Kyle's background matter? Does his history matter? The things that he's done and said matter? Because there are two videos specifically that I've seen about Kyle when he was just a year ago doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Should that be allowed into the court? Because it wasn't.
Yeah, it's either everything within the same scope gets added or not added, right? So we see it a lot of times when young black kids get shot. It doesn't take 48 hours before like the news comes up and shows a picture of that kid on Facebook 2 years ago when he was 16, throwing up gang signs in a picture that paints him in a bad light. Like they do that so that the right people go, oh, he was a thug. Cops probably were right to shoot that guy. He probably deserved it. It's messed up, but it happens, right? So like either you're bringing all of the background of the accused and the victim, or you're not bringing either. And you're just trying to focus on the scope of what happened, right? And intent is a whole different thing, right? So it's like, all right, what was his intent? Why did he go there? What's his mindset like? What are his tweets and his all this other stuff? You know what I'm saying? He's taking pictures on Facebook and like there's a line, and it's the judge and the system that decides what's in and what's out.
In other words, you mean the government.
The government.
So the last time I checked, and we got a couple of historians in here, right? The last time I checked, this government wasn't necessarily built. Well, actually, what I should say is this government was built to protect certain individuals.
How about this?
And
Just
it-
to
and
throw
it's
this out
job.
there.
Yeah, go ahead.
O.J. Simpson.
Yeah.
O.J. Simpson.
Yep.
Right?
Mhm.
So this was this is one of the earlier trials that brought people and just brought people in different sides of the room, right? Like white people over here, black people over there. And the evidence came out. There was not enough evidence, according to the jury, to find him guilty. Go ahead.
But also, they planted evidence too. Like, they had
listen, you're right.
And then they
You're absolutely right. But that is one of the reasons.
That's a mistrial. Like that should also. I mean, we know he did it.
That played.
He did it, but like, should he? Once you tamper with evidence, the law, and get caught.
No, I agree, but that's what happens when you have the burden of proof and you make a mistake, right?
Evidence,
i.e., planting evidence, not providing the right footage, right? Failing to make a couple of things. Like my lights are coming out over here, and doing all these things that make the prosecution look bad. The jury's gonna look at that and be like, because I know if I'm in the jury and you're like, that's not good. You've already lost a bit of respect and from me in the evidence that you're providing. If you lied about that, what else? If that information was planted, what about this information? But what I'm getting at is
that's
the
called
jury,
reasonable doubt.
right? The jury made a decision based on the information that was provided. If the prosecution failed to make the cake, right, and he got off, but everybody lost their damn minds. And of course, way back when, the black people were like, just get him off. And they were happy because they got a win. I say they, but you know what I mean, right? There was a win because everybody was like, man, he's gone. They're gonna get the juice. They're gonna squeeze the juice, but the juice got loose. You know what I mean? And that's why.
Victory because they planted evidence and the person who they planted evidence on didn't go to jail. That's a victory because you have the LAPD obviously shown of their criminality.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's why, so OJ did it, yeah. But like all these other people that are getting evidence put on them are kind of vindicated because not only did this case go that way, but like you got to look at Mark Furman's stuff.
Mark Furman.
Go back, and you get to litigate all that stuff, everything that he said in his whole history of testifying, of being a police whatever. It gets thrown in question, and that's like we've been saying thing. Granted, OJ did actually commit the crime.
But we got one though. We got
the point is
you lied. Granted, you lied on somebody who did it, but you've been lying this whole time.
Remember this, right? Yeah, OJ might have done it. He might have gotten away with murder, and that's very, very bad for the people he killed and their families. Like they should have gotten justice, and they didn't. Right. Mm-hmm. But what I'm saying is, but everyone else, right? Everyone else in the country, we needed that to happen that way because they planted evidence.
Right.
Right.
If it went the other way around, it would have been.
Yeah. Can you imagine? Yeah. They plant evidence. It comes out that they plant evidence, and OJ still found guilty. You know what that means for all of us in this room? You know what that means for whoever they feel like?
They're like, oh, they plant evidence on this case and he got found guilty. Case law.
OJ got money. OJ got money, baby. Right? Hired the best of the best, Johnny Cochran, right?
The best.
And he had to because he had to get off. If he didn't, think about what that would say for all the. I'll never forget movie JFK. Whoever hasn't watched the movie JFK should watch it. It's a pretty cool movie. But there's a little girl in there, right? So the DA in the movie is building his case. He's investigating. So he goes to investigate and go talk to a stripper, basically, right? And he's trying to encourage her, tell me what you know and this and that and blah, blah. And then she's like, she gets kind of scared and she clams up and she doesn't want to say anything else. And he's like, what's the matter? It's just us two. Why are you clamming up? And she's like, listen, if they can kill the president of the United States and nothing go down, why would they care about a 2-bit showgirl like me? That's what that is about, right? Once they planted evidence and got found out, if OJ still got convicted, even despite the fact that you found out that the government is planting evidence on a citizen, the rest of us are a wrap. We have no shot.
Yep.
It's toast, baby. It's toast. So I get it. OJ, again, probably did it. probably got away with murder, and you have an entire family, people that love those people that he murdered, that didn't get
Never got
justice.
Yeah.
And that's sad. But that's the system failing again. That's all it is, man. That's all it is. The system failed again. So, like I said already, we have so much evidence of the system failing that how can anyone trust anything right now?
Yeah.
I'd love to hear your thought. Like, how?
And here's the thing, to pivot just a little bit, because you got the Ahmaud Arbery case, right? This one right here is a little different. I'm gonna sit and listen to. I don't know. Have you guys watched the testimony of the accused in this case?
I have not.
No.
But it seemed like they were hanging themselves from what I
Bro.
Oh no, they were just like they were feeding the rope, and he was just like just talking.
Nope.
Go ahead.
Execution.
It is poor. The execution is bad. I agree.
That prosecutor in the Kyle Rittenhouse case, horrible.
Yeah, I agree.
The prosecutor in the Ahmaud Arbery case, I'm scared of that lady, and I didn't even do anything.
Yeah, she was asking questions, and I was just like, I was like, what?
I'm telling you, man, she is meticulous. This you can tell, right? You can see the cook. Yeah. It's crazy because both of these cases are happening at the same time, right? Yep. They're happening at the same time. You turn on one, and you're like, wow. You turn on the other one, like, bro, you should be charged. You should be, taking on all these cases. This lady is killing them. So when you say they're hanging themselves, they're not doing it. They're not hanging themselves. She's slowly putting the rope around their neck.
Yep, that's it.
Right.
Look,
she's
why, I don't understand why they have him testifying like that.
Because because it's a self-defense argument. The defense attorney. Let me just tell you guys something real quick, right, about that particular case. So there's a son, the dad, and a third party, a third guy. Supposedly it's the friend of the dad's, right? All three of them have their own attorney. Father and son did not hire the same attorney. You know what that means? You know what that means for either one of them? Any one of them testify, which the son testified, the dad's attorney can cross-examine him.
Yep. As
if he's a prosecutor. If he wanted, they could lay the blame all on the son's doorstep. And dad would, hopefully get away with whatever he's trying to get away with. Right? Yep. The prosecutor ain't having none of it. She is killing them because she's meticulous. You should hear her talk and compare the two prosecutors. It is night and day. So in the Ahmaud Arbery case, I don't think there's a chance. Like when Hebron said, I hear they're hanging themselves. They're not, bro. She's helping them hang themselves.
Hang themselves.
And there's not much they can.
This is why I bring it up.
When you put the defendant on the stand, normally that's bad.
Yes, but usually when you're seeing the defense,
this is an interesting case with the Rittenhouse situation, that it was not as bad as it should have been.
Right.
And that makes all these other extra questions.
I think the caveat, the difference is the fact that it's a self-defense case. That's the difference, right? So we're used to seeing defendants up there who aren't necessarily arguing self-defense, right? We're usually seeing defendants up there or not going up there because it's not about a self-defense case, right? They're making they're making some kind of other argument. But when it's a self-defense case, the jury is going to want to hear from you as to what your state of mind was. What did you really think was happening at the particular time that you had to use lethal? What do they say it? What's the word I'm looking for? You had to use lethal force, right?
Yeah, equal lethal force or whatever. Yeah, to quell the.
Exactly. So the video is telling you one thing, that's sure. But what it's not telling you is what Kyle's state of mind is at the particular time. It's not telling you what he's thinking. George Zimmerman argued the same thing, guys. Yeah. He was bashing my head into the, that's a visual for the jury. So what would you do? You're getting your head bashed in.
Ahmaud Arbery is not able to be like, hey, I went on a jog and these dudes pulled up beside me and they had shotguns and I was fighting for my life. And you're not going to get that. You're going to get him saying, hey, he was nefarious. He was acting weird. And I felt like whatever he's going to say. But the difference with him on the stand versus Rittenhouse on the stand is the vibe is different. He's just sitting there like, I don't even care. He's just like answering honestly. And just like you said, just every question, a little tighter.
That's not by his doing. That's the prosecutor's doing. When you said what you said you're putting a sheep in there with a lion, bro.
Yeah.
She's a lion for real. She's not saying she like,
He's-
oh well, I'm gonna be a lion. Yeah, you can say
she's
that.
petting him. She's petting him.
She is
You know,
in there,
making him
and
feel
she's like,
comfortable.
yo, yeah, like I said, it's the
But
difference between winners and losers is execution.
But
I'm
Eddie,
an NFL quarterback, yeah, until you don't go out there and play well, and you're no longer.
but
Right?
here's the thing. Just here's the thing. We say this now, right? And we're like, oh, because I've been in cases where like, the closing arguments, the prosecution goes, and you're like, oh, put him under the jail, guilty. Defense goes, and then you're like, well, maybe he's not guilty. And the prosecution has the burden of proof, so the prosecution has the last say, right? So it goes back and forth. So we're still early in this case. We don't know what information is going to come out to crack it open one way or the other, right? But then we're going to get an answer. Once all the information comes out, and then if we're putting ourselves in the seat of the jury and listening to the entire thing and hearing all the evidence, and if you're like, yep, he's guilty, what happens then when the jury comes out not guilty? Now we go back to is it a system issue? Because the prosecution seems better in this case, right? And it seems like right now it is like he's guilty. The video shows that he's guilty. What he's saying is like coming across guilty. But we'll see. We'll see when the evidence comes out and we have our own idea with the proper amount of information in the case, and then make a determination and see if it matches with the jury's freaking deliberation and statements.
Let's run with that. Can we do that real quick? It won't take long.
Yeah.
Let's run with that. Not guilty. All three of them.
Fire.
Are you surprised?
I would be surprised in this case.
That's okay. So that's what I wanted to hear, right?
No,
Yeah.
I would be surprised.
I would be
Again,
surprised in this particular scenario, right?
The scenario is different. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So here's what I'm saying to you. Here's what I'm
It depends on the information. It depends on So here's the thing. If I watch the whole thing and I'm like, oh, that's damning information for the prosecution. Like that, we didn't know that. That just came out, right? Then I'm like, oh shit. Just like with this case, the video, and they started when soon as he was like, oh, it's self-defense and this is why, and they showed the video, I was like, oops. Before that, I was like, he's guilty. And then after that piece of evidence came out, it changed it. So if evidence doesn't come out to change that and he's guilty, oh shit.
So what I'm asking, the question I'm asking the room is run with what you said, right? He's found not guilty. All three of them. All three of them are found not guilty.
Oh yeah.
Right? Are you surprised? And I'm telling you, you can say I am, and I would say why? We have you're living in a country.
Not all three. Not all three.
You're living in a country where you have had hundreds of years of racism, discrimination, Jim Crow law, prejudice, whatever word you want to insert. Okay? Why would you be surprised?
I say this.
So the simple
I would be surprised, but if I was to be surprised, I answer with this question. I answer a question with a question. If the Zimmerman trial happened today and not 2014 or 15 or whatever it was, do you think it would be the same?
I don't know if it would be the same. Obviously, it depends on the law, because I think the stand your ground law has been changed or something, or adjusted, or maybe they've even gotten rid of it. I'm not sure. But that's not my question, right? I'm not talking about in terms of outcome. I'm saying to you guys, would you be surprised if the three men that are charged with murdering Ahmaud Arbery were found essentially not guilty? Would it surprise
I don't think I'd be surprised.
I would be surprised just what just happened a few hours ago.
I'm willing to
Not just a few hours ago. Go ahead.
Say that happens. Go ahead.
I'm willing to make a distinction between the Rittenhouse case and the Arbery case.
Of course.
They are different situations. What I would like to believe is that this is one of the ones that you win because of the situation. Like sometimes you lose the ones you're supposed to win, and sometimes you win the ones
you're supposed to lose. Yeah.
I think OJ was a win that you were supposed to lose because I think OJ did it.
Why do you think he did it? Was there evidence? What evidence did you have other than he was just?
So the glove fit, and that's his wife, and his wife was cheating on him. So like, hold on.
Allegedly.
I mean,
Allegedly fit.
No, these are the
that's what I'm saying.
alleged reasons. My reasons aren't alleged. The crime is alleged. My reasons aren't alleged.
It is great because
he was like,
beyond a reasonable doubt. Beyond a reasonable doubt. There had to be footage of him tackling and just spiking the ball.
They don't. You don't have Furman planting evidence. That man is still in jail. Is all I'm saying.
Possible. Yeah.
That was the only thing that they like. Once that was it. That was it. What I'm saying is that was a win that should not have been a win. Fine. I think that the Arbery case is a case that there really isn't, because like, so in the Rittenhouse case, like you said, I'm not trying to vilify the victims, but like there is, once there's two weapons involved,
and he's chasing them, right?
Like the idea of having a clean like course of events is already out the window. We're talking about an actual combat event at this point.
But wait a minute, that's a false characterization of what happened, right? The first guy that Kyle Rittenhouse shoots does not have a weapon.
Fair enough. Right. If that was it, I think it would be a different argument. And I don't know why the prosecution is not making a distinction between this murder and everything else that happened.
Right.
I would have. That's how I would have approached it.
So the first person he kills does not have a weapon.
The
second person he killed.
On that, it would not even have been. I wouldn't. The other two's names involved. It would have been about that. But that's me.
The second person he kills. Yeah, the second guy he kills.
Matter.
I know. No. I just want to make sure everyone understands like what the facts of the case were. Right. The second guy he kills has a skateboard that he perceives as being a weapon, because now that he's shot the first guy, the guy with the skateboard is trying to stop a shooter, right? So picks up a skateboard, Kyle perceives it as danger, and shoots him point blank. Okay? The third guy he shoots is the guy with the gun. The third guy.
Right, no.
He actually survives.
I understand.
He doesn't die. I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page here.
I'm not
as to what
again, happened. I think this is I don't want to use the term miscarriage of justice, but like this is the problem is that they tried everything together and put the defense situation in the same group as what should be easily perceived as murder. What I'm saying is that's the reason why I would be more surprised in this, because you don't have the mitigating factors, even poorly mitigated factors of the Rittenhouse one. Like, it was poorly argued, and there was enough there that if you could squish it together, you could make a defense. I don't think that exists for this situation. And likewise, I would be surprised if the outcome isn't clear, like the outcome that we predict from our current place. I would be surprised. I don't want to be surprised. I would be surprised.
I just wanted to bring that up. Just to see what you guys think.
But progress also exists. And to say that we're always losing everything isn't really the case. We're losing a lot. But progress is still being made. And I prefer optimism, I guess.
Right. And that's why I'm saying, like, well, I will kind of be surprised because, and again, I go off of like, we got to wait and see. And that's something we could talk about later too, after this case is done, and we could hash it out. But like, I don't want to
get in the six videos.
So Teck, you said you had some.
No, but one question though: was the kid was he attacked by those three guys at all, or anybody?
The video shows him running and stopping and shooting.
From what? Just from a boogeyman?
From the first guy he shot.
But do you see the guy chasing him, or is
it's an aerial? Yeah, it's an aerial shot from a drone. There's a lot of chaos going on, and you just see one guy run and the other guy run, and they're like, I guess according to footage, is close enough or clear enough that you could see that that's Rittenhouse with the AR-15, and you see the other guy. So you see Rittenhouse cross the street, then you see the other guy cross the street, and they go into the car, and there's like a situation there, and then you see the shot. So that's why that's like, ooh, that video footage, it corroborates him saying I shot him out of self-defense.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And when the prosecution, because the prosecution has to provide that, and they provided a 15-second snippet of like the last couple of seconds that didn't show the chase and didn't show it clear enough. And then all of a sudden, oh, there's another video that came out. Why don't you guys provide that? Now the prosecution has failed miserably, knowing that they had a better footage, longer footage that explains that shows the chase before the shooting. That made it bad.
And
it's like you're in an argument, getting caught in a lie. You know what I mean? Like you lose.
And the explanation as to why that happened, like at least have something. All right, if the judge asks, you know what I mean? And horrible. It was like, what?
Oh, it was compressed footage. Oh.
So, like I said originally, the judge in his back pocket has a mistrial sitting there, which he has to rule on. The defense is going to argue that all day long. Hey, you still haven't ruled on the mistrial. What about that judgment? And they have to rule. And by the way, let's just be clear here. Let's say he's found guilty. Let's say the judge rules on the mistrial and says no, right? And denies that motion. They can file an appeal. The defense can file an appeal on behalf of Kyle Rittenhouse because, and then argue the mistrial.
So, yeah, I see what you're saying, but you got to look at it a little bit. There's more to that, right? When it comes to the mistrial, say they went and said guilty, and now they want to go over the mistrial. They have to go through all of the reasons behind it, the evidence, the why, and then even to the jury as to like how much weight did they give that first video compared to the second video, and how that would change their mind, and that would cause the answer as whether it's a mistrial or not, right? And so then right?
The judge is going to rule on that, right? But what I'm saying is once the judge rules, Kyle is found guilty, goes to prison. His defense attorneys are going to file an appeal.
Oh, absolutely.
And basically say
right, but like if it's
and basically argue that this should have been declared a mistrial, and here's why. And now you have an appellate court now.
Yeah, I don't understand why. The only thing I can think of is just the mistrial would have postponed a lot of stuff, that's not the reason why you don't do it early, right? I'm not saying that. I'm just trying to think why he would, because I just don't have enough of, even as much as I do know about the court system, is why he would decide to rule on that after and not handle it. Let's hash out everything right now before we even get to the big answer, right?
I know. But I'm with you, man. I'm right with you on that. Right.
So here's the other piece. Yeah. If he's found guilty and they get to the question and that they got to answer, did the video change your overall? To the jury, did the video, that 15-second that you saw of just the shooting versus the 45-second video of him crossing the street, change your mind from guilty to not guilty? That's what will determine. But and if that's the case and the evidence comes out, you can't be mad. But if the jury is like, yeah, from the video that they gave us, the 15-second video that they gave us, it looked like he just shot him. And then after seeing the other video, that changes my mind. I think he's guilty. And if that evidence comes out, you can't get mad. Now,
that's not how the
mistrial
Court of Appeals would work. Like, the Court of Appeals would only be able to rule on the judge's decisions in maybe throwing out, like you could say the judge was incorrect in throwing out this particular piece of evidence. Had that evidence been in, it would have created a different
outcome,
and therefore an outcome.
Mistrial.
And I'm surprised that
that was the problem. That's the problem, right? Is that there's that air, is that it creates a circumstance where yeah. And again, you already mentioned this, right? Prosecutor. Prosecutor screwed up. Prosecution screwed up. That's what creates this.
That's not the judge has to screw up before you get a mistrial. The judge has to screw up, and I don't know that the judge arguably made any decisions.
He didn't.
That were outside of his purview as a judge.
What I'm saying is that he still hadn't ruled. He still hadn't made the screw up yet, right? Or what could have been argued as being a screw up yet.
I don't think
the point I'm making
the prejudice.
Right. The point I'm making is that it's sitting in his pocket though. Right. And he held on to it. And it doesn't matter what his reasoning is to us, to the public. There's an air of impropriety there. There's an air of doubt that we believe that he's being impartial. He's delivering the correct judgment. It doesn't mean that he actually is doing something to make us believe that he's actually violating any kind of law or deciding it incorrectly, but it casts doubt. And the only reason, there's a reason why we have the opinions that we have. We don't just have them out of thin air. It's based on history. It's based on history. Okay, so all I'm saying is the fact that he's simply sitting there and hasn't ruled yet on the mistrial motion creates that sense of what's going on here.
Here we go again.
Right. Do you know that the defense attorney for one of the men in the Ahmaud Arbery case also requested a mistrial?
I didn't.
And the judge was like, nope.
I mean, you're supposed to request a mistrial. That's.
I'm not saying that they weren't supposed to. I'm saying the judge made a decision based on the motion, right?
So if you're saying the judge in the Rittenhouse case is been found lacking, we all know that, but it doesn't matter. He's 69, about to be 70, and before he retire. It doesn't matter.
The bigger point I'm making,
but this is why you vote local elections.
That was my next note that I had. That's what I'm trying to drive at, right? It creates that sense that there could be funny business going on here, right? So the next thing I had on my notepad is, so now that you're mad, right? Because just, I go, I'm on Twitter or whatever, right? I'm like, seeing everyone's reaction. I'm not engaging anyone, right? I'm not getting in there and fisticuffs and let's argue about this, right? I'm seeing what people are doing and saying, and I'm just kind of analyzing that, thinking about it. It's all right. So there's all these people that are angry, and then there's this other side that's all through the roof, and to the moon, and they're they couldn't have a better day. So for those people that are just angry and I can't believe this, and some of them are really sad. I see a bunch of sad people, man, right? And I'm just all right. Why does it always seem like we're sad and down? Even myself, I'm guilty. You guys were there the whole election, the not the previous election, the one before that, right? I was man, Hebron, I'm so down, let me right? I went through that myself, right? But now with a little bit of experience, I guess, I'm no, this should cause you to want to get to some kind of action. Right? You're pissed off. You're sad. Okay, well, why do we have to just be known as though, they're always sad when they lose something they believe in or something doesn't go the right way, right? I think what needs to happen is there needs to be a shift in how people react to these things. Okay, you didn't like what happened. You're not happy about it. Do something. What can you do? You can arm up like Kyle Rittenhouse and go, do your thing, or we can try to go about it. I don't want to use the word the right way, right? That's not the phrase I want to necessarily use, but this is what's afforded to us. Is that you can go out and vote and get involved and read it and watch it. That's why I watch it. I don't watch it, to fill some kind of need for drama or something, or because I don't have anything else better to do. You know what I'm saying? I'm watching it because I'm these are the things that sort of shape our actions. The civil rights movement. What if all of them just stayed home and, looked at their 401k? You know what I mean? The things that we do, right? And they just gamed all day long. What if Martin Luther King was on Twitch? And that's just, how he got down. I'm on social media and I see just all these people. Wow, I can't believe it. And again, it reminded me of back when I was kind of dealing with the Trump election and going through all that. And I was just man, this is time to mobilize. This is time to, you don't like it, go do something about it. The people of Wisconsin, for those that are in Wisconsin, you didn't like what happened, go do something about it. Get that DA the hell out of there. Is that something that people even know? It's 1:34 so far in this podcast. So for the people that are watching it, do you even know that that's something that's within your purview? It's within your power to do something about.
I think that's something.
There's
I
no
think
one
people
here from
just
Wisconsin
wait.
right now.
I think people wait for
Not yet.
somebody to do something and get people to follow instead of like, because what you're saying is your emotion, instead of being emotional about it, you feel like you should do something about it.
No, I say do both. The emotion should lead to action.
No, yeah, the emotion carries over to make a change, but
yeah,
I think somebody, I don't know where I heard it, where somebody said we're a very forgivable culture. Black people, we forgive too much. And instead of, like you're saying, go ahead, make a change. You don't like it, fight for it. Don't just sit there and just say something, but it falls on deaf ears because you're not doing anything about it. But I think today, though, Eddie, I do feel like people are just waiting for somebody to take a lead, right? Because when I look at certain people or social media, it's like somebody's just waiting for somebody to take a lead. And I think that, you know what? I think it goes right into this Kaepernick thing. It transitioned well because it's just like with the Kaepernick, they're like, well, tell us what to do. It's like, why does he have to tell us what to do the next step? You know what's wrong. He put himself on the line, lost his job. You know what he was talking about. What do you want him to tell you to do next? I think you have to sit and ponder sometimes and go, you know what? Okay, I see what he said. I see what the issue he brought up or the conversation he brought up. But I still think individually we all have to say, you know what? I don't need Kaepernick to tell me what to do next or give me a map or a guideline where to go next. Sometimes you have to do that research yourself and see where we should go from there and have conversations with each other. And I think that could be a thing for us to do instead of just waiting for Kaepernick to tell us what to do. We haven't heard Kaepernick speak in like months. Why are we waiting for him to tell us what to do?
Yeah, he's not the champion of the cause. All he did was shed light at a bigger stage of the problems that are happening, and then to try to at least spark or move the envelope forward. And then once he did that, people were just like, you know, he's like, I planted it. I put the flag down. Someone else to grab it, and everybody else is just sitting there going, all right, Cap, like you said, I've seen different footage of people going online and social media saying, I reached out to Cap and Cap didn't reach back to me. It's not his responsibility. Granted, he did step forward, and you know, if he wants to move forward and make other things happen, which he is, but other people are trying to rally to him, and it's like you don't have to rally to him. You could just take that thing and go somewhere else with it, right? Because he showed what happens when one person moves forward to make a statement. The NFL took a hit. He lost his job, and people are saying, oh, he's not better than 31 other quarterbacks. Well, I beg to differ. They vilified him. Like, hey, his stats were declining. Guess what? Matt Ryan's stats were declining. He still got a job. Friggin' Roethlisberger's stats are declining, and he still got a job. So, like, I don't know what you're talking about. Even the last 2 years when we didn't have quarterbacks, right? We're getting to a better place now. But, like, someone could have called him, but guess what? They didn't want to because they didn't want the drama that came with it, right? And that's part of this grand scheme of all the stuff that we're talking about. And you're right, you know? A lot of forgiving and a lot of –
we do forgive easily.
And it's like I don't even know. It's tough to explain, but there's probably a broad answer to it, and y'all can chime in. But it's like blind leading the blind. No one really knows what to do. So distracted with other things, not educated, not trying to get educated, staying caught up, crabs in a bucket. I'm going to throw all the things to you that everyone's caught up with all this other stuff and not wanting to, you know, again, they're going to be mad on social media. They'll Twitter finger all day, but they won't go to the voting booth. They won't do the call to action. They won't make those things happen. And I say they, but I'm talking about we. I'm talking about everybody, black, white, whatever. Everyone should be seeing this type of stuff and say, I want to make a difference. But here we are.
True.
Apathy. Definition. Webster's Dictionary. Lack of interest, enthusiasm, or concern. widespread apathy amongst students, just to use it in a sentence, right? It's lack of concern, man. It's lack of interest. This is boring. You know what's not boring? A trial. That's fun. I'll watch that.
Yeah.
You know what's not fun? Research. Right?
Educating yourself.
Reading. Reading's not fun.
So the thing about research is being bad guy.
Depends where you research.
You're gonna come up with the answer that you're looking for. So
sure,
while we're sitting here,
confirmation bias,
condemning Rittenhouse, even though he was acquitted. There's a lot of people doing their research and coming up with the opposite sentiment.
Sure.
So, what I probably have a lot of apathy in this particular case because I mean, like, Wisconsin voted how you would want them to vote last time, so it's not even like a matter of people not voting or caring. It's just the fact that 20 years ago, when this judge was put into place, it was a different situation, a different time, and now here we are. So it's not even a matter of voting or even getting involved because the mechanisms that created this problem are just already in place, is what I'm saying. So you got to be consistent.
Yeah, you got to wait it out, right? You got to wait out the storm.
Like they're already voting right. They're already doing what you would want them to do, voting wise. It's just now you got to keep doing it consistently for the next 20 years. So
right, until the next regime has been effective. It's like, so here's the thing, real quick. It's like,
and it probably won't go the other way next time, election wise.
It's like one of those things. It's like,
I'll be surprised. Sorry, go ahead.
It's like being the child, and you don't like the way your parents are treating you, and you voiced that you don't like it or whatever. But like, it's my house. You could live in it or you cannot live in it, right? You got to wait until now you're the household, and they're the parent staying in the grandma's room, right? Like, hey, you don't like it, mom? You can leave, right? It's almost like you got to weather the storm. But again, so the point of it is to educate the young people, right? And us, when we get to those positions of power and positions of influence, to change the status quo and to educate that next generation to do better and feel better and do more and be more active and be less whatever, because history has shown it seems like it's not improving fast enough, but it's going.
Yeah.
It's just, we may be old as hell when we go, hey, I remember when, because we could do that now. Remember when OJ went to trial? When the 91, when dude got beat up in the street, Rodney King got beat down. And they were like, well, they're not guilty. Now, that wouldn't happen. That's what I was getting at when I was talking about Zimmerman. And now, like, if Zimmerman happened now, I'm not saying that it would be totally different, but the universal consciousness and people being aware, i.e. the jury, they're going to be different in 20 years because we hopefully are evolving to have a little bit more apathy, understanding, loving care of the other person. Hopefully. Go ahead.
Okay. Rebut.
When I said apathy, I was referring to Colin Kaepernick. Remember, we had just talked about Colin Kaepernick. That's what I was referring to. I wasn't applying that to the Kyle Rittenhouse case.
Oh yeah, no, I got you. Right. I just reused the word.
The hoping they die mentality, right? The other side is fighting the same. They're waiting for the same thing.
And that's why it's so slow.
It's not going to happen that way. It hasn't happened that way.
No, I'm not saying that's hold on, Eddie.
Okay.
I'm not saying the storm is out there hiding in the closet. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying build a vehicle and a house that's weatherproof. Try to throw some salt in the air. Whatever's going to quell the storm, right? Like, it's not just one. It's not a one answer. Yeah,
but they got the next man up. They got the next man up.
It's you got to continue to do stuff to change it while you wait for them to die. Since we're using those words,
I'm not even saying wait for them to die. I'm just saying
wait for things to change. You get better, and
you
need new people in office
over a period of time to see the change. I am concerned that that Wisconsin is going to go the other way this upcoming midterm, and it's going to be one of those red wave situations where, and I don't even know that it's not unjustified because of how the Democrats have pursued this last 2 years, because it's like they haven't done what they said to do. And granted, most of them have been on board, and there's only a two individuals that are throwing anything up. But like,
who remain nameless.
But it's just a matter of, so we believe that you were going to cause this change, and now you're not doing it, so we're going to do something else. And I'm not sure that it's not an unjustified position depending on who's up for election. Now, Trump running again is going to be interesting.
Sure will.
But I don't put it past him. Like there's so many. I don't put it past the nation to be like.
It's a pendulum swing. The harder it goes right, the harder it goes left, and it's like we're caught in this storm because it's such a adversarial, dual, tribal system that we've got, and people are so entrenched that nobody wants to see. It's like two old couples that are just angry at each other, just yelling. I'm yelling about this and not listening to the other person. And it's like, that's what's happening.
Right. And I think that the Republicans are better at forgiving the flaws of their candidates, as the Democrats are more like, no, you did this thing 20 years ago still, and we're going to be mad about that, as opposed to you having already won and having this situation kind of locked. We're going to move you out, hurt ourselves, and maybe win the next one. Maybe not. We'll see.
But there's a lot.
You're still sour about Al Franken, aren't you, Hebron?
I am.
Huh?
I said Hebron's still sour about Al Franken.
I'm not. I mean, like they replaced him with another Democrat.
Listen, man, it's apathy, bro. It's apathy. People.
No. I think it's more than that. I think a lot of people.
Okay.
I think the apathy people are not involved with this because they're not voting either way. Is what I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah, but right. You're not getting them to vote for you, but they are also not getting them to vote for the other side. I don't count those people.
They're not even involved.
They're not even involved. I'm not.
Yeah. But what's causing the apathy, right? I mean, I don't mean to open a huge question, but there's a lot of things. It's a lot of things.
Lack of fast returns in this world that we expect fast returns. It could be that simple.
Yeah, but what's causing the people that are showing up, making the votes and doing the thing and being involved, right? It's
the same mentality. I'm gonna do it. Of people not wanting to get vaccinated to help the public good. Because
I disagree.
That my small participation may help this bigger thing, but for my own reasons, however valid I feel that they are or not, are going to be juxtaposed to my belief that it doesn't matter either way. Like, I believe it doesn't matter, so I'm not going to do it. People elsewhere are like, every little bit counts because it might, depending on little things. Right. Electoral college, big election, my vote doesn't matter. Fine, but the local elections matter because it's not just the president. And I think we're better at seeing that it's not just the president now than we were 8.
Right.
12.
Right, but that's through education.
That's
why.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Because I think a lot of people don't know how big it is when it comes to local, like you're saying, right? I think people just kind of like look at the big picture and just go president. But like where you live, what you're voting for locally is what you should like. That matters. I think a lot of people,
as long as when they set up the little jurisdictions isn't set up to win, all that other stuff.
Oh, that's a whole nother.
I know. I'm just saying.
Already almost 2 hours.
Yeah. I know. I'm just saying.
You can't bring that in now. That's a whole.
But to backtrack just a little bit.
You know what, Gio? Let's just do it. 6 episode tonight. I mean, 6 episodes.
I know, right? No, but listen. To backtrack a little bit, you were talking about like people don't know, right? So like your average your average person, when are they learning about electoral college?
Should be second grade, right?
Maybe you learned it in second grade, but
I've never heard of it.
It's at an age. Listen,
not in second grade.
It's social studies like ninth grade, right?
Yeah,
they go into
it's civics. It's
it's in that area. But who's learning this? 14-year-olds. They're busy trying to. Let me backtrack. They're not focused on that.
Don't say it.
But they're busy looking for.
They're not focused on because I remember hearing about it. I had to relearn it as an adult when I was like, let me learn this.
So
but most people
time out. Right there.
Yeah.
Why'd you have to go learn it?
Because it didn't take after a while I was like, I matured, right? It became important to me.
Sure, exactly. So the vaccination case, the example that Hebron brought up isn't the same, right? Hebron or whoever he was referring to has a particular belief and they're arguing that belief, right? And they're just on the other side. Great. Fantastic. What I'm saying, apathy, is referring to people that don't even put their hat in the ring, right? They're not making an argument. They're not making anything. They're watching Love and Hip Hop. And that's it.
Yep.
And the chips fall where they may. That's apathy.
But both sides have that person. So it cancels itself out for the argument that we're making, to me.
What I'm saying is Des Bryant goes on Brandon Marshall's I Am Athlete podcast. They bring up Colin Kaepernick. And his point is that Colin didn't tell them what to do. Absolutely. And he says it like super, you could tell, like he has a lot of emotion.
I reached out to him, he didn't say anything. Yeah.
He said, what did he give us for an action plan? And Des looks at Brandon and goes, absolutely nothing. Right? You could tell like there's fervor there, right? He's angry about it, right? My question is this, okay, so he didn't tell you what to do as a 25-year-old guy, man, whatever. What'd you do? What direction did you give? What action did you take?
Because it's
just complaining about it.
It's not just apathy, right? It's like I want to make a change, but I don't know how, and they're looking for somebody else. And in this case, it's Cap. They're like, I'll do whatever. You just tell me what I need to do because I clearly don't know, even though they don't have the courage or whatever. They just want Cap to be up front, and I'll stand with you, Cap, right behind you. They don't want to be the one up front because they don't want to mess it up. They don't want to mess up their chances. All this other stuff. I don't want to bite the hands that feed me. All these other excuses or reasons.
Let them take the hit.
That's what it is. It's like being at work. And you're like, man, our boss sucks or whatever. And you guys could talk at the bubbler all day and just be like, oh, it sucks. But nobody wants to be the guy to be like, hey, boss,
I've attempted too many coups for that to apply to me. So, like, I've already done that. None of them work. But they're so hard. Not even like a coup, not even like a legitimate coup, but just like a legitimate complaint. I got in trouble for that. I hope they never.
Right. But in this grand scheme of things, you need influence. Influencers need to be the ones to step forward. People that have something to lose, that's part of the problem, right? Because like if you go to your public square in your city and you start talking this stuff, Cap was right. I'm here to support Cap. All this other stuff. Cap, bring me the flag. I'm taking it from here. They're like, who's this crazy? Call the cops because it's crazy big black man with a beard.
It's got to be that togetherness that, not one voice type of thing. I'll put it this way. I wanted to do the podcast, but I was like, I don't want to do it by myself. Then I called Gio and it was like, yo, you want to do it? Gio was like, yeah. Then next thing you know, Gio goes, let's hit up Hebron. Yeah, let's do it, right? Then it's like, well, let's hit up Eddie. Now we got 4. Boom, it's done. Because I wasn't going to do it by myself, right? But I think it's got to be like a togetherness. It's got to be an understanding. And that's the only way to do it. And how do we get there? It is the research, the learning, the sharing, whether it's experiencing, listening, educating. It's got to be all of those stuff. Mm-hmm. That's all it takes. And then we have to educate ourselves and each other. And it's that collective thing.
It takes a certain level of compassion and understanding and willingness from the other side, however you want to see the other side in. When they were like, hey, white folks, we need y'all to support. We need y'all to march with us. We need y'all to this and that. That too. But I pose this question to you guys. Why was the bus boycott so effective?
Because they use a light-skinned woman instead of the pregnant black woman that initially.
Because she was half white and she was light-skinned?
Yeah.
I'll tell you why I think it was effective.
I don't know if I actually believe that. It needed to be said.
No, but here's this is why I believe it was so successful. This is why I believe, because a majority of the people that were on the bus were black people. They were essentially funding most of the money going into the bus system was black people because they didn't have cars and they needed to get to work. Once they all said we're done, and then the guy who owns the buses is like, oh shit, I'm 90% this quarter. Like we got to get them back on the bus. Like fine, you can sit in the front, you can sit. It hit them in the wallet. That's how you do
can't
it.
hit the government in the wallet. The government will come for their shit.
I get it. But like say this whole Kaepernick thing, NFL, and I get it. The players are like, whoo, I grew up poor. I worked hard my whole life. You want me to stop playing football? Because you know why? You and I will be playing. I'm like, 100 grand, I'll do it.
I'm waiting for the call.
But that's part of it. That's why when we say, well, how come these people with money, why don't they just step down? Stop feeding into the system and hit them where it counts. Eddie is just like, he can't.
Yeah, so I appreciate the idea behind that. But like, you're like, I'm not doing all this stuff that's not honestly directly related to the problem, which is a governmental situation.
Oh yeah, it's
so like you're saying like the rich, these millionaire players are like, I agree with Kaepernick, and I'll put my money that I made into things. Maybe like that's a responsible, but I don't have to necessarily like my. So Colin Kaepernick kneeled, got blackballed, and nothing changed.
That's how you that's, it's like, I don't want to compare it because that's already a thing, but it's like, you know what they would do with a runaway slave? A slave would run away. They'd either catch them, bring them back, and freaking mutilate them, destroy them in front of everybody else to deter the others to keep in line. Or if they don't catch them, they take the family members and destroy them so nobody else leaves. It's part of that system is you blackball them. It's like, oh, the last guy that knelt, we haven't seen him other than a Nike commercial. And he's out.
But Kaepernick, though, to me, he brings up a conversation, though, right?
Oh,
I don't think Kaepernick was going to solve something. I think it's just the conversation.
No.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, nothing's changed, but I think the conversation should be taking place, and then from there, you can try to move forward. I didn't expect Kaepernick to just change things. He did what he did. He brought up
what Brandon Marshall does or Des Bryant does.
Yeah, well, the Des thing, he was just kind of like he said, he was just like, well, he didn't tell us what to do. It's like, well, you tell us then what to do. You know, he did what he did by just bringing up the conversation.
It's just it's a feeling you have.
All right.
Yeah.
You guys mind if I jump in here now?
Dive in.
As my blood pressure rises through, and I may have an aneurysm live on Twitch or whatever.
All right. Get us more views.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, snap. Y'all watch that? Y'all see that guy die?
On...
It's crazy.
Listen, man, we'll take a 15-second clip in 3 hours, all right, bro? Listen.
Somebody get the apathy dude Lipitor. He's about to die. All right. So, Hebron's right. He's right. This isn't about the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
This was never about the NFL. Right? Colin Kaepernick is using the fact that he's an NFL quarterback to bring attention to something that needed to be addressed in the government. He didn't specifically talk about like the NFL is racist or whatever. Like it wasn't about that. He's bringing attention to people being shot in the street by cops, which is the government. So by bringing attention to something, that doesn't now mean that all of a sudden now Kaepernick's going to lead the way as to how we go changing that. He's just saying, hey, y'all see this? This is crazy, right? We need to do something about it. Kaepernick's not saying, hey, I have a plan. Vote for me. Okay? But strategically, people make this about Kaepernick and the NFL. That's not by accident. That's not
Right.
because they don't understand. You know what it is, man? They don't understand. No, they understand. It's perfectly designed. Them bastards were smart when they made this shit. Sorry, I don't mean to swear. I don't know if I can swear. Can I swear?
Of course.
I can swear.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Like this is by design. So how do you change that system? It isn't by watching or not watching the NFL.
Right.
Okay, you can put "end racism" on the back of the helmet, right? You can wear the "Don't Shoot Me" T-shirt for warm-ups of the Lakers game. That's fantastic. That's great.
Is Eddie
You
about
know
to
who
attack
doesn't care about that
capitalism?
T-shirt?
Is Eddie about to attack capitalism? I want to see it. Let's go.
I'm not attacking capitalism.
Oh, damn.
I benefit from capitalism. Okay.
Oh,
What I'm saying is all of this. I always tell people when I get into these kinds of discussions, and I don't get into many. Like, I don't want you guys thinking like, oh, Eddie's out here. You know, I don't. But when I do, on the occasional time when we get into these things, I always tell people, look, you can not like politics. You could say, oh, it's boring, or we shouldn't talk about it, or whatever. That's cool. That's your right. You can absolutely do that. But just understand that affects almost every single aspect of your life, period, till you die, period. Like, and someone tell me otherwise. Okay? So to not get involved, to not learn about how this shit works and how it affects you and what you can potentially do about it is to simply say, all right, someone else got it. They'll figure it out. They'll handle it. And I'm a product of whatever they build. So if we're complaining about what they've built and we're saying this isn't right, you must go in and try and change the system. If you don't, great. Then you're one of the background people in the Matrix. Great. Just be in the Matrix. You know, eat the steak that's not really there and chew it. Shut the fuck up.
Eat the machine.
Okay. Or you can be Neo or Morpheus. Right?
I don't know. I wouldn't jump into that analogy with another movie on the horizon. You don't know what's going to happen.
Sure.
That's what I'm saying. Like those Matrix analogies might go wrong on you here in a couple months.
I may see a Proud Boy in the background.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I don't know what this. It seemed like everything was resolved, but
sure.
the fact that it's not means
it tells you sure. But you know what's happening? There's another movie coming out. There's going to be another Neo. Supposedly this is a different Neo, right?
Yeah, I don't
so
even
my
know.
point is, actually, that's actually a great analogy, right? Like, yo, who's Neo? Who's Neo? Because it's not Cap. Cap was the guy with the red or blue pill.
Who's gonna take it?
And everyone is looking at him, saying, "All right, come on, Neo, what's up?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm not Neo. I'm the red or blue pill guy. That's my role in this movie." Okay. This was about affecting change in a system, in the government. That's where the fight was supposed to be taken to. Instead, strategically by design, it was brought to the footsteps of an NFL game and whether or not you were going to kneel or not kneel during national anthem.
Yeah, we saw it. I mean, those of us who are like more aware, you saw it and you were like, well, that's not the point that he's saying. People are like, oh, how dare he burn his jersey, all this other stuff. And they made the narrative gets changed to deflect and deter from the message and the problem. So that was never even dealt. They were like, oh, what do we do?
Correct.
And
that's by design.
Absolutely. And someone had said during that time, it was like, someone said the system's broken. They're like, no, the system's not broken. The system is working perfectly.
That was this guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Was it you said it?
Yeah. While it was happening, everybody was like, yo, you know what it is? Because they don't understand. They don't get what it's like. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Of course that's what it is. They were like, yo, guess what? Worst case scenario, Hebron moves into your neighborhood. Just do this.
Yep.
That's you know what I mean.
I don't
point you out. I just kind of glanced up and you were the first person. I looked at. Right? Like, trust me, I'm in the same neighborhood, bro.
Yeah, like redlining, getting rid of the head of the household, introducing crack, the third strike. You name all these things; these are all part of it.
I was talking to, I'm not gonna say who it was, but I'm talking to somebody, and they bring up affirmative action, right? Affirmative action, And I was like, listen, whatever feelings you have about affirmative action, that's cool. Whatever, hey man, you hate it, you like it, I'm not gonna argue with you about the merits of affirmative action. What I care about more, what I think about more, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe one of you guys are gonna set me straight right now, and I'll be like, all right, cool, you guys made your point. Is why is affirmative action even needed in the first place? What is the circumstances that made people think that this was something that was even necessary? That's what we should be focused on. We can argue about the policies later. That's fine. Let's argue about the policies. What I'm talking about is the atmosphere, the conditions that create the need for something like that. Why do we have the Rooney Rule? Why does the NFL have the Rooney Rule? That was one of the things that they brought up on Brandon Marshall's podcast, which is dope podcast, right? They brought up the Rooney Rule. And it's like, yeah, man, like there was a reason why the Rooney Rule, there's a reason why that damn thing has a name. It's named after Art Rooney.
Yeah.
So how can we live in that kind of world? We live in that kind of situation, and we're going to act like there's no problem or someone else is going to fix it.
Yeah.
Right? Like we live in these conditions every day. So if you are apathetic or whatever reasoning you want to give, I personally think that's the big issue. But I'm listening. I'm willing to concede that maybe it's not, right? But if we live in those kinds of conditions, how do you not engage and think it's going to get better? It's going to get fixed. Yep, Biden will fix it. You know what I'm saying? Like when you talk about local elections, that's exactly when George said, I felt like I had to learn more about this subject, and he dove in. Yeah, exactly. You weren't just sitting there going, Eddie will take care of it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you got engaged. You decided that you needed to know more about this. You weren't willing to just sit back.
There are deeper, like there's so many layers to that, right? When you look at it, like I want to make sure I understand first. When you say apathy, is that apathy across the board? All humans or all Americans in this situation, since we're talking about, I guess, essentially America, is the apathy issue that you're saying or the thing that you're bringing up, is that just, say, Black people, or is it everybody?
I'm not talking to everyone, because obviously there are people that are engaged, right? I think, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, more people voted in the presidential election this last year than ever, right?
Well, that's a good sign, because when shit gets bad, people start, you know what I'm saying? But like what I'm getting at, why I asked that question is,
I'm going to answer your question, right? I'm going to answer your question. So more people voted in this previous presidential election than ever before, right? What I'm saying is are those people also engaging at the local level? Are they going to? Have you guys been watching these school board meetings that have been going down? You have?
I've seen some. Yeah.
Okay.
I've looked at like highlights where.
Okay. Don't forget where I live currently. Don't forget where I live currently. I live that, bro. I live that. Okay, for real. One of the women that serve on our school board, right, has a particular view. Okay, and she's going to these meetings, and she's doing her job, or at least trying to do her job, right? Trying to vote and stand up for what she thinks is going to be the right thing and the right way to lead the school district, right? She's in there engaging, and you guys have seen it, right? People are letting their voices be heard. All right. Mm-hmm. She says out loud, "Where are all the people that I speak for? Where y'all at? Because there are a whole other side that are here."
Yep. Engaged. Yeah. Right.
That's what I'm talking about. Right. And I think that happens for all different kinds of reasons, right? Not necessarily just because people don't want to go or not interested. But I am trying to say, look, if you want things to change, you can't just sit at home on the sidelines. Colin Kaepernick, right? The reason why I respect the hell of that guy, and I always will, isn't because he never made a mistake, right? People want to crucify him because he wore socks with cops depicted as pigs, right? Like, okay, maybe you shouldn't have done that. That wasn't the smartest move, especially when you're the one kneeling. But okay, he did it. That doesn't mean he's perfect. No one's perfect, right? They're just trying to destroy his message. But he took a risk. You don't think Colin Kaepernick knew that by the way, originally he didn't kneel. Originally he sat during the national anthem, right?
Yeah.
You don't think when he's sitting there, he's going, all right, I'm going to do this. You don't think he's already like, okay, this isn't going to go over well with people. He knows that already, but he takes that risk. He puts himself on the line because he's fighting for change that he thinks is necessary, is needed. What I'm saying, and I've told you guys this before in our like private conversations, is just me, right? I think to myself all the time, like, man, should I be doing more? Like, okay, I'm living my life, I'm raising my children, you know what I mean? I'm trying to help my family, my friends, or doing all that. But like, is that cowardice? Is it because I could do more, or at least I think I may be able to?
What more? What more would you do?
Engage people, right? I didn't go to Wisconsin, did you?
No.
Would MLK had jumped on would John Lewis taking a trip up there? Right?
Probably.
Like these are the people we all revere. We revere them, right? We look at Malcolm X, like whatever, right? I'll name whoever you want. The point is those people took action. They executed. And they literally got executed. Right? I'm not being funny. I'm saying
you're right.
Yeah. Like Colin Kaepernick. He did something. Look what happened to him. Right? So if that's what's holding people back, my question is simply, is that cowardice then? Right? Like I don't want to shine too bright, because if I shine too bright, what I got going on now is at risk.
No, absolutely. Like being comfortable and having, having the situation set, you don't want to sacrifice that, especially when you've seen the result of what happened. What happened to Martin Luther King, right? What happened to Malcolm X? What happened to Colin Kaepernick? These things, it's like those people who stand forward, they, whether knowingly or whatever, they sparked a change, but they gave a sacrifice to their own comfort, this thing that we're so afraid to step forward in front and say, hey, I'm going to do this. Like that's part of the, for lack of a better word, the system, right? The result of like, hey, you can step forward. There'll be a little progress, but guess what? You're done. Next.
Consequences.
Yeah, the consequences are real.
Yeah.
So, but my other part of that is, and I agree with you 100%, that apathy is the problem, education and being distracted, all these things from the oppressed or the Black people or people that are whose voices aren't heard, right?
People's
voices aren't heard. But then you have the other piece, like the white people that are sitting there that have family members that might be Black, or they don't have anybody that's Black, but they're in a similar but different situation where they're like, I'm not getting involved. It has nothing to do with me. I know a lot of white people that don't, outside of work, they don't get involved with Black people. So it's not their struggle. It's not their fight. They don't even get involved. But what I'm saying is, isn't that also an issue? It's like you watching your neighbor beat his wife. You know what's wrong, but you're like, I'm not going to get involved because it had nothing to do with me. There's an ethical and moral thing but it's even worse because they're looking at it and be like, she probably did something. She probably didn't. She deserved to get beat.
I think that's to make themselves. I think that's to make themselves feel better that they're not doing something.
Right. Absolutely.
Justify your own inaction.
And then I can only imagine how like white folks would feel when you bring up slavery in an argument, and they're like, "But I wasn't there. That's nothing to do with me," right? And there's a sense of guilt, like a reverse white privilege guilt of like, and they're like, "I'm sorry, I wasn't there. I had nothing to do with it." But there's still more that they can do. They can be involved, but a lot of people don't want to do that for the same reason but for a reason that's very similar to why the apathy problem is, the distracted problem is, the uneducated problem is. It's like nobody wants to do the work. You know what I'm saying? It's.
So then what do we do? Because like you said, man, I think people are just comfortable. Like Eddie said, I'm raising my family. I'm good. I'm doing all right. Is it really affecting me? Right. But like in a weird way, like you have to step out of yourself and look at a bigger picture and say, you know what? People is people. I want to contribute to make a change for people.
So
it doesn't have to be me.
I agree.
Wait, what happened?
I said, so we should all get vaccinated. I agree.
I'm pulling
Yeah,
up to your house
but-
with a needle, with the vaccine.
Yeah, but when
I'll take
but
care
that's
of you.
that's a different
That's a different story,
conversation.
but it's not.
Hey,
It's literally
it's
the
No,
same
no, no, no,
story.
no, no, no. But you have to understand though, it's what I said to you though. When it comes to that, right? Remember what I
You
said?
heard me, but so is what I said to you is what the problem is.
No. What you're not, what I think you still not understanding is that I'm not at the top of the mountain going, Hebron, that's how you feel, this is how I feel. What I
Right.
said to you was, I heard what you said and I'm taking it in, and that's good. Versus
it's
me
a good
going,
step.
Hebs, what you got to say is stupid. You know what I'm saying? I think you
I'm
have
glad
to
it's not.
accept that though. You have to accept that if it's coming
Accept it,
from
Hebron.
me. You know what I mean?
Except that
That's a
Eat the
big
pineapple.
no, but that's a big deal though, because like when somebody believes in their belief, they don't want to learn or budge. I took in everything you said, and I was like, yo, I did not see it that way, Hebs. I was like, I'm learning what you just said. That's
Right.
great. You see what I'm saying? So it's one thing
my
if I
argument
just
is, yes, I'm glad that you heard me, but you're still
Right.
not voting. You're still not doing the thing that I want you to do. Now, you
right.
are saying that my small contribution to the larger, greater good is not worth my action. And that's fine. That's your choice. But you should not say, I don't want to say you don't get to say, you can say whatever you want. You should not say that all these people need to get on and do a thing, and then you're not doing the thing that you could be doing.
But
for the
Hebs,
cause.
we're talking about two different things now.
No, we're talking about two different phrases of the same type of apathy.
Correct.
It's
Either way you slice it, it's still apathy. Told you
But,
guys. It's not the argument. It's the lack. It's not the argument. The person arguing is not apathetic. They are showing concern. What I'm talking about is the person who's like, hey, did you vote? And they're like, vote? What are you talking about? Oh, I don't know.
It's not gonna matter anyway.
Yo, man, I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about that, man.
Voting. I believe you've changed my mind some about voting. I'm still not going to vote, though.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying, Teck. That's what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah, I'm saying engage,
No, but-
man. Engage.
But changing the law though versus putting something in your body, I think it's a little bit different though.
It is a little bit different, but in a lot
Just
of ways,
a little
it's the
bit.
same.
But I'm not saying no though. That's what I'm saying. I'm
But you
saying
literally,
I appreciate
Teck, you are still saying no if
at the moment
yes. No,
mine
you're right.
gets
It might
changed.
change.
Yes, no.
That's
But-
what knowledge is. That's what knowledge is. That's what listening is. That's what learning is, Hebs.
Right. So
So just because
I
you say
appreciate you
something,
learning.
I can't just jump because you say it,
True.
right? But I'm
True.
not telling you, Hebs. At the moment, yes, you look at it as a no because it hasn't been done.
That's literally why it's a no.
But it's not. But I'm not fighting you though.
You
I'm
kinda
listening.
are.
In the way you look at it,
Yes.
because fighting you would be, yo, do you see what? I don't trust them. That's fight. I'm not fighting you.
Okay, so you're being passive aggressive. Fine. It's still not getting me where I want to go.
Okay.
I think it's this, right? So
Okay,
as
that's
we
still fine.
as we like, just like when Eddie and I were talking, and he asked me the question of why did I change, right? It's you have to be motivated by what you got to get informed, educated, and then motivated to make a change, right? So sometimes that's like that conversation that you guys had. Maybe you planted a seed. That seed can instantly grow and the light go on.
That's what I said.
Or the seed can grow through further. Like this is just water on that seed. It might take a while.
I'm gonna keep messing with that damn seed until I see some action. And
just keep watering it.
It's a
just keep
binary.
watering it. But that's look. Listen, this is what
Teck.
This is
the water.
I'm not here to defend Teck.
water.
I'm not here to defend Teck. But there are a lot of people that could watch this and think the same thing, right? It's like this. He said in the beginning, "I'm here," because we were like, "Why are we doing this?" And he said, "I'm here to learn, educate, understand a little bit more of me and my understanding." And I'm the same way. I was like, we all have an experience. I'm pretty sure we've all experienced and have some knowledge about some topic that the other 3 don't have. Right. And and that's why we have an opportunity. Everybody bring forth something, have a conversation. You might change my mind. I might think one way, and through a conversation with you all, change. That's what's great about it.
You know,
and somebody else by watching that can learn too.
No,
plant
it's
them
amazing.
seeds.
It's amazing what you said, because I went in on Hebs last night. Pause. Like, right, Hebs?
Yeah, we had a couple. That's why I wanted to throw back to it, because it was fun. Look, I'm pushing harder than I actually care.
No,
I'm not actually.
But I'm not pushing back. That's my thing. Because I don't want you to feel like you want somebody to push back, because I'm not pushing back. That's what's so great about it, man. That is what's so great about it.
We gonna fight.
Nah, I don't want to fight you, man. Because I want to learn from y'all instead of fighting y'all. You know what I'm saying? That's just how it is. And like I told Heb some stuff. He was like, I don't know, kind of thing. But I'm like, yo, bro, you know, it's kind of the same thing we're talking about. But my thing is, I'm not saying no. I'm learning, and I appreciate when you brought it up. You know what I mean? It wasn't like hostile. It wasn't, you know what I mean? But eventually, maybe I'll get there.
So let's say there are more people out there that have the Teck point of view, right? Tech's like, look,
don't call it a Teck point of view. Like,
listen, man,
I like it. Keep going,
right? I don't want to take. I'm not taking.
Don't listen to that guy.
Can we get the graphic to come on the screen?
Teck point of view. Yeah. So, like, what if there are people out there like watching right now, right? Like, I'm assuming that there's people watching, or there will be people watching, and maybe they don't have a particular view yet. They don't have all the information, right? And they're gathering it, right? So, what do we want them to know ultimately? Like, they're watching, they're learning. What do we want them to know? So when I hear Teck say that, I go, okay, that's somebody who's not apathetic, right? He's working his way into having that concern, right? Mm-hmm. And that's good. That's what I'm suggesting we need more of, right? What I'm saying to you guys is, look, because people aren't getting involved, they're not showing that interest, because they're not taking George's lead and say, hey, you know what? I don't know about this. I need to go find out about it. Right? If they don't do that, then we lose in every way. We lose. They lose. Right? We need them to get involved and to learn this stuff. So I'm 39 years old. Right? I'll be 40 next year. Like, you know, it took me 30 some odd years to figure this stuff out. I don't want it to take these other people 30 something years to figure out. Figure that shit out as early as you can. And here I am giving you the answers to the test. One of the basic ones is get involved. Don't sit and wait and think these adults, right? These people that are older are gonna, lead the way and show you what needs to happen, and they're gonna do the right thing. No, those adults are just kids that grow up with those values, and now they're just adults. Now they have a little more power and a little more influence, right? You have power. I didn't realize I had power until I want to say 2006, 7-ish, somewhere around there, and I was already 6 years in where I could have voted and try to make a difference and get involved. And I just didn't, because I was too busy doing other things, right? Not realizing the importance of what I could have been involved in, what I could have been doing to try and affect change, right? We're waiting on the sidelines for people to take care of this stuff for us. That's what we're doing. It could possibly even be their fault. Right? Vote for me. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. We go, all right, go, fly. And then I'll see you in 4 years. Right? Like, that's not a winning for Tip O'Neill, right? Used to be a Speaker of the House from Massachusetts. That's where I'm from, right? Said all politics is local. Right? That was his saying. Like, you got to get involved. And if you don't get involved, you can't be the one crying about what the circumstances are. Like, you just can't do that. It's like, this is your bedroom. You don't clean your bedroom and then complaining about how dirty your bedroom is. Grab a broom, son of a bitch. Like, get involved. You don't know? That's cool. Des Bryant didn't know what to do. That's cool. Go talk to some people and try to figure it out. Why does Colin Kaepernick have a line to talking to certain people that I read he spoke to, and they gave him advice and they gave him why does he have that open line of communication, but Des Bryant couldn't? That's what I mean. Like, I just feel like that's where a lot of this stuff these things go wrong, man. It's like, You have a voice and you refuse to use it, but then you're the first one to use your voice to complain about what happened, despite the fact that you didn't get involved. One of the critiques with Colin Kaepernick was he doesn't vote, right? So it's like, all right, like I said, he's not going to have all the answers. He's not a perfect human being. So I didn't kill him for the fact that he didn't vote. But what I'm saying is, but homie, if you really want to affect change, we should probably vote. Because if that's not what you're going to do, if that's not how you think this is going to change, then I'd love to hear how you think it'll change.
And those are all great points. And just to throw this out there, like what Des Bryant did, it ended up being the opposite of what he was trying to do. Like he's trying to call out Cap to be like, hey, I reached out and you didn't answer. What he did was gave the opposition ammunition to be like, see, he doesn't even care either. People are reaching out. I heard people are reaching out to Cap and he doesn't even care. You see, he's a fraud. He's a grifter because that's the word they use on him all the time. But you got real grifters out there doing
shit. It was out.
Yeah, exactly. But that he's doing more damage than good instead of trying to. It's good intentions, but he's trying to say, I reached out, he didn't answer. I tried to do my part, but his part could be different. But he's got way more money than all four of us combined. And what is he doing? He's got the influence.
He's put out different things. He's given money. He's got his camp that he runs. He's done a lot of stuff. What I'm saying is because he's who he is and he brought attention to these things. Yeah, it's real convenient for me, for Eddie to be able to sit back and be like, all right, man, let's get it fixed, Cap. Go do your thing. It's real easy to do that, sure. When the whole point of him doing that was to be like, nah, man, that's not for me to get up and go now handle. What's the point of kneeling? He would have just done it himself, right? If he could have affected change on his own, he would have just done it himself. No, what he's trying to do is inspire a whole bunch of people to do it.
Right.
The responsibility was not on Kaepernick to make the change. The responsibility is on the rest of us. But we don't want that responsibility because, like I said, I got my cushy office chair right here and I'm sitting with my boys doing a podcast. Like, I don't have time to go do that. And I think that's where we're failing. And when I say failing, I just mean we're not taking any kind of legitimate action, right? Not action to arm up and let's go take over the Capitol, right? Let's go vote. Last time I checked, it was legal. I know that could change. I know that's kind of iffy. But let's get involved. Who's your local sheriff? You don't know? That's not good. You know what I'm saying? These are the things that affect us every day, man. Like when we were talking about white people, I think, George, you had said, there are white people that, they don't have to deal with this, right? I guess, but they do, right? Like I'm married to a white girl. We have mixed children. Guess what she now has to deal with, right? Her mother, her parents, her brother. Like, guess what they all now have to deal with? It's that quick. It's that easy. It affects everyone. They're just choosing, or people, including people of color, are just choosing to just chill, right? It's uncomfortable. Like, I'm it's boring. I don't want to read. Who else? Tip O'Neill. You know what I mean? Like, that's that kind of attitude. And I just think, that's what's going to kill us in the long run. Like, that's what's going to create the conditions in this country where things just fail. If you have a ineffective justice system, who's going to fix it? Joe Biden? He's just going to go in there, grab his, pen and just start like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not how this shit works, man. Political pressure. People actually write their congressman, which is crazy to me, right? It's always been crazy, contact your local congressman. I'm busy doing my thing out here. And then you find out, oh yeah, they actually do that. And it works. And then I'm the one sitting there going, wait, so these are my conditions now? And they're like, yeah, that's the law. And you feel just stuck or powerless. But that's not real, man. That is not how this is supposed to work. So when something doesn't work the way it's supposed to work, what do we do about it? Just leave it? Your car's burning oil every day, leaking oil. You just whatever. We'll just keep, throwing it back in there.
Yep.
I'll say this, man. Hey, I think we are 2 hours and 30 minutes in.
Was that too negative, bro?
I mean, it's not too negative overall, but it's the last topic, I think.
Well, I think we only had 1.5 topic for 2 hours.
I think that's pretty big topics.
Yeah, but I think that's amazing, though, man. It's conversation, man, and sometimes conversation leads to knowledge, learning, sharing, and all that stuff, man. And I think just listening, especially like with the court stuff, I don't really know. I don't follow it, so myself, I was taking all that in because, like I said, I don't follow that. Like I haven't followed the trial and all that stuff, the court stuff. I mean, there's things that I know that I'm well versed in, and that just wasn't one of them. But I think that's the good thing about the podcast and having a conversation is that people can hear different perspective, ideas. It doesn't always have to be, you put up a stone wall and say, I don't want to listen to you or I don't want to hear from you. And I think that's what having a conversation is. I think that's what podcast is. Now, I'm sure going forward, we're going to have different things to discuss. This was basically one topic. And I think it was amazing, honestly. Gio, Eddie, Hebs, these guys are smart guys. There's a reason why they're here. So you're going to hear all of these things, man. And I think that's what's good about it, man. I will say big shout outs to you guys, man, and shout outs to anybody who did watch. We appreciate the love. I think we'll call it here. We'll try to come back maybe next Friday. We'll see how that goes. But big shout outs to Gio, man. This dude baked a cake. This dude built a house today. And Gio was just like, hey, man, let's bake this cake. Let's make this house. You know what I'm saying? So,
Eddie's the voice of reason. Hebron is the anarchist. Sometimes I'm just a color commentator.
Hey, man. That's what makes it great, though, man. Yeah, and
Hebron's
sometimes
Hebron's not an anarchist.
I know. I'm giving him stuff. Hebron knows he's got a lot of good things to say. He's a practical guy, very intelligent guy.
Oh no,
but he will push the envelope and he will say what he's got to say and he'll fight. He should have been a lawyer. I'll tell you that because
Hebron's not the Joker. He's not the Joker. He's Dr. Octopus. It's different.
No, he's coming.
Doc Ock, huh?
Yeah, Doc Ock. Joker just
maybe that's something we could bring later and figure out. Say who's who. You know what I'm saying?
Oh no.
Yeah. Hey, shout out to you, kid, man. We appreciate it. I think you should go back and watch it, man. And I think it was a awesome show, man. And shout out to you, Gabby, as well.
Gabby's on deck.
See, but that's my point. That's what conversation is, man. And I'll say one thing: don't ever apologize for spitting bars. Sometimes you just got to catch it. That's all it is, man. So, but anyways, man, let's give an outro. Let's all tell the people where they can find you. I'll start with myself. Again, I'm CV Tech 1. You can look me up all social media, CV Tech 1. You'll find my ass. And I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully next week we'll be back same time if we can. And we'll go from there, man. Eddie, can you tell these people? First of all, Eddie, I will say this. I saw your stuff on was it on Twitter?
Mm-hmm.
Where you have the room where you can have the conversation stuff. I just found out about that, and I think San Francisco's playing a couple of days ago, and you had a thing going. I was like, oh man, and then I passed out. But I was trying to join it. Yeah, man. I think that's a fun thing though on Twitter.
Yeah, Spaces. Yeah, Spaces on Twitter. That's a good place to kind of talk to people and stuff like that. So yeah, it's cool.
But anyways, tell the people where they can find you, man. Especially on Twitter, especially
if for sure. Thing. Twitter is definitely the place to go with me at EVDIE4. Hit me up. Talk about whatever y'all want, and bring the questions, man. I love the questions. If we can help people learn some stuff, or maybe even the opposite, right? You guys teach me something. I'm definitely with it. So yeah.
And Gio.
you can find me here, at least for the next 5 episodes, right? So if you want to get at me, you get at me that way. Otherwise,
that's all I'm saying.
Otherwise, you're gonna have to hire a private investigator to find me in other places. But CVGO Genius, look it up. I'm on YouTube. You know, I make a lot of comments, things like that. I'm on the Xbox, CVGO Genius. I am on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, but I got different handles and all that stuff. And like I say, jack of all trades. I don't mix it all together. But if you find me there, pay your private investigator, and then we can chat. But hit me up here. 5 more episodes.
Yeah, let's go. 5. 5. Hebs.
I think the best place is Twitter, Advocate Hebron. Please, by all means, engage, because if you start it, I will probably
finish
continue until
he will finish it. That's what he meant.
We decide to either agree or to agree to disagree, because I will stick with it. So
he should have a bio on his Twitter that says "Enter at your own risk."
Oh,
that is very Doc Ock-ish of him.
Yeah. A disclaimer.
All right. Yeah, I appreciate you guys, man, and appreciate the people watching. And yeah, man, we'll try to do this again next week. And that's pretty much it. Have a good night, and we out.